Chapter 38:57. Lin Gu was slapped in the face by Gu Qia's snow. He quickly regained some consciousness, but his consciousness was still relatively weak. However, Gu Qia did not give up and continued to try to wake him up. With Gu Qia's persistence, Lin Ji's consciousness began to return slowly, and he finally opened his eyes. "It's good that you're awake. Don't fall asleep in this place. Don't fall asleep. Once you fall asleep, you will be in trouble." Gu Qia reminded Lin Gu very seriously. Lin Gu nodded and looked at Su Yun, who was dealing with the giant bear. He hoped that he could stand up and help, but his body was completely out of control. Gu Qia wanted to drag Lin Gu to the sled, but she had a foot injury, so it was impossible for her to do so. At this moment, a person who no one thought of suddenly walked in front of them and extended a helping hand. It was Zhou Qianxiu. Zhou Qianxiu grabbed Lin Gu and pulled him to the sled. Gu Qia also did her best to get closer to the sled. The sled was big enough for Lin Gu and Gu Qia to sit on it. "Although I didn't have much hope for you, what you did really surprised me," Zhou Qianxiu said faintly, "so I decided to help you. Even if the result is still disappointing, at least I did it, so there is nothing to regret." Zhou Qianxiu picked up the sled's leash. At this time, Lin Gu and Gu Qia discovered that Zhou Qianxiu had quietly broken the leash that tied him on the sled. He obviously did not want to help, but wanted to escape. However, he gave up escaping at the last moment and chose to help them. Although it was a bit surprising, Gu Qia and Lin Gu were still very touched. The two Alaskan dogs lay still in their nests. Zhou Qianxiu pulled the heavy sled forward by himself. When the two Alaskan dogs' tails were almost crushed by the sled, they had to get up in the snow nest and follow their master forward. "Ninth uncle." "Thank you," Gu Qia said lightly on the sled. Lin Gu chuckled. "I said a lot of unpleasant things just now. Mr. Zhou, I'm sorry. I owe you today." "You don't owe me anything," Zhou Qianxiu said as he walked. "I owe him. If doing this can be regarded as paying off the debt, I can feel more relaxed when I die later. I have nothing else to ask for." Lin Gu froze for a moment. He did not understand what Zhou Qianxiu meant. Gu Qia knew that Zhu Qiangxiu was talking about Su Yun's father, so she didn't ask too much. When Su Yun saw the sled moving away, his worries lessened. The people he was most worried about still had the awareness to avoid danger. This was what Su Yun wanted to see the most. After the giant bear increased its explosive power, it seemed to be a little overwhelmed. Lin Gu had used up too much of its stamina, and when it faced Su Yun who wanted to increase its attack power, it was somewhat powerless. Animals were quite sensitive to their own bodies. After the giant bear felt this feeling, its mood immediately became anxious. "You really don't understand us Huaxia people. We Huaxia people dare to eat anything." In order to let the three of them go further, Su Yun tried to attract the attention of the giant bear as much as possible so that it would focus on himself. Bear Paws, Bear Gall, many rich and powerful people like this game. Not long ago, a woman with a low IQ in Huaxia was investigated for photos of her eating bear paws. What do you think she was thinking? Did water enter her brain? Director Li and Secretary Huang, who ate pangolin, were unlucky. You, who opened a yoga studio, ate bear paws. You are more powerful than the leaders. If you don't have a greedy leader as your godfather, then you have a fat, ugly, and rich profiteer as your godfather. The giant bear didn't know what Su Yun was talking about, but it knew that Su Yun was provoking it. At this moment, the giant bear was really not in the mood to pay attention to the three guys who escaped behind it. Bear paws are the best after winter, and the right front paw is the most expensive. It can be sold for 3,000 or 4,000 yuan each, Su Yun said. That's an ordinary bear. You are a polar bear. The price should be at least several times higher, right? And your bear paws are so big. One of them is as big as 5 or 6 of those in the black market. It should be worth at least 100,000 yuan, right? AO dash. The giant bear roared at Su Yun. Don't worry. I haven't finished talking yet. Su Yun waved his hand and continued to attract the attention of the giant bear. The three of them were still in the attack range of the giant bear for the time being. This big guy could stop them with 3 pounces and 2 jumps. Now Lin Guo and Gu Chia couldn't walk. They could only rely on Zhou Qin Xiu and the 2 dogs. Their walking speed was a bit slow. Of course, in the world, those who dare to price bear paws like this, I'm afraid that only a few Chinese people who are greedy, brainless, ignorant, and born stupid. Su Yun said, "You are lucky to be born here. If you were really born in a place where we Chinese people can catch you, you would have died long ago." Hua Xia's huge appetite allowed some bastards who earned all kinds of money to find an opportunity to make huge profits. Reporters from many countries had conducted an investigation overseas, asking if there was anyone who had specially made bear paws into a dish. They had conducted an investigation on this matter. As a result, they found that there was no phenomenon of eating bear paws with the mentality of showing off their wealth and nourishing their young like Hua Xia. Moreover, foreigners were also surprised that Hua Xia would eat bear paws. Hua Xia's restaurant experts and nutrition experts said that bear paws should never appear on Hua Xia's table again. An old man who ran a ginseng and antler business said that the taste of bear paws was almost the same as fat pork. There were many ways to nourish it. Why go against the law and bear paws? To put it bluntly, these days, some nouveau riche who had a little money would eat these things. The purpose was to show off their photos and show how rich they were. Real rich people would not do this. Real rich people who knew how to nourish would not eat so stupidly, let alone show off. Rich people would not treat eating as something to show off. No matter how expensive the food was, how much could a meal cost? Even if you went to the Dio Utai State Guesthouse and ordered the most expensive dishes, how much could it cost? Hundreds of thousands? Anyway, it would not cost hundreds of thousands. Therefore, real rich people would not care about showing off their food. What they showed off was unimaginable to ordinary people. Although I am not a person who dares to eat everything, I am still a Chinese. You are facing the Chinese who dares to eat the most in the world. Don't you feel guilty at all? Su Yun's voice became louder and louder. The giant bear treated all of Su Yun's words as humiliation and provocation. Finally, it could not restrain itself and attacked Su Yun with the most powerful explosive force. Boom! The giant bear smashed a big hole in the ice surface again. Su Yun knew that this big stupid bear was completely anxious. This way, Su Yun had the upper hand. The crack in the ice hole on the lake surface spread out for dozens of meters. After Su Yun dodged the attack, he did not stop at all. He suddenly jumped high and flipped directly onto the giant bear's back while the giant bear was looking for him. The giant bear felt something strange on its back. It waved its giant paw and was about to slap its back. The bear also stood up fiercely. Unfortunately, polar bears were also famous for their short legs in the animal kingdom. Its 2 front legs could not even hit its shoulder, let alone hit Su Yun who was on its back. Su Yun's left hand grabbed a handful of bear fur. Although the bear fur was short, it was extremely thick and a bit hard. Anyway, this giant polar bear's fur was like a pig's mane. It was uncomfortable to hold it in his hand. Of course, the giant bear that was caught also felt uncomfortable. Su Yun used a lot of strength. How could the strength be light when he grabbed it? Of course, the giant bear was also in pain. The giant bear realized that it could not hit Su Yun, so it began to shake crazily, trying to shake off Su Yun who was on its back. However, Su Yun did not let go after he caught it. The more the giant bear shook, the more strength he used. In addition, Su Yun also began to attack the back of the giant bear's head with the elbow of his right arm. Every impact was full of strength. The hard elbow hit the back of the giant bear's head fiercely. Su Yun could clearly feel the skull under the thick bear skin. The giant bear's eyes turned black under Su Yun's impact. It almost tripped. It could be imagined how strong Su Yun was. Chapter 38:58. Although Su Yun was not a person who was used to using elbows, after all, the power of elbows was too great. However, he was proficient in elbows. Even if he met a Muay Thai expert, Su Yun's elbows and knees would not be at a disadvantage. Of course, Su Yun's elbows were not learned from Muay Thai. He learned Maka Jutsu from a good friend from Israel during an international special forces competition. Maka Jutsu was Israel's fighting technique. It was the military fighting technique of Israel's special forces. It was definitely a compulsory fighting technique for the national defense and military, as well as law enforcement personnel. Even the FBI of the United States Empire included it as a compulsory course. Some people said that elbows in Muay Thai were the most ruthless. It was because Muay Thai was too ruthless. If law enforcement learned it, wouldn't they beat people to death during law enforcement? Su Yun learned to use elbows in Maka Jutsu because military Maka Jutsu training required the user to wear a helmet. That way, they could use powerful elbows as they wished. Elbows were a must. If one did not wear a helmet and a mask, an arc elbows could easily open up a wound in the face. This was under the condition that the opponent dodged in time, only minor injuries such as disfigurement. If the opponent could not dodge, an elbow to the head could easily kill the opponent. Su Yun learned it for a few hours. When he was in actual combat with boxing gloves, he easily KO'd an American burly man who was 20 centimeters taller than him with an elbow. There were 9 types of elbows in Maka Jutsu that must be practiced. They were flat elbows, outside elbows, backswings, up elbows, down elbows, back elbows, bending back elbows, ground elbows, and jumping Superman flying elbows. Among them, the ground elbows were divided into flat elbows, which were used in the riding position. The ground elbows and crushing elbows were used in the horizontal position. Therefore, Su Yun now controlled the giant bear under his body. The best and most powerful way to attack was to use elbows. With his current position, he could use all kinds of elbows at will. To be honest, it felt really good to use an elbow attack, especially when he was stepping into the inner circle. It was a flat elbow attack. Now that the giant bear wanted to throw Su Yun away, Su Yun used the inertia to hit the back of the giant bear's head with his elbow. Su Yun knew very well that he did not need to worry about whether his elbow joint could withstand too much impact if he used a strong elbow strike. Even if he put his entire weight on his elbow, it would not be a problem. A strong elbow strike would cause more damage to the opponent than the impact of his own elbow strike. If it was a fist or wrist joint, the strength of the whole body would not be easy to bear. Su Yun usually didn't like to use his elbow because the force of an elbow strike was much greater than that of a fist strike. If he didn't control it well, it would be too easy to kill someone. Therefore, it was easier to control his fist. Of course, many boxers and boxing masters who could kill with a heavy punch did not think so, because the key to a straight punch was to make the core force area good enough. The front support, that is, the forearm and the punching surface were perpendicular to each other. The key to a swing punch was to make the core force area good enough and to lock the elbow angle at the moment of impact. Most of the movements of an elbow strike did not have a fist peak, which meant that most of the movements of an elbow strike were to swing the elbow. Compared to a swing punch, there was no need to lock the elbow, and compared to a straight punch, there was no front support to cause penetration. Therefore, if practiced well, the strength of a punch was still great. Of course, this made sense. Of course, after a rough mastery of the core force area, one could use their elbow to hit with a lot of force, but it did not necessarily mean that they could use their fist to hit with a lot of force. In fact, for most people, the reverse rotation of the shoulder to the hip meant that the left shoulder would find the right hip, and at the same time, the right shoulder would find the left hip. The rotation of the waist and shoulder discs would lead to the rotation of the lumbar and thoracic vertebrae. Every time an expert twisted a vertebra joint, he would add a layer of force. Therefore, the strength of the blow came from how many vertebrae he twisted in one movement. Generally, the rotation radius of the elbow was smaller than the fist. According to the analysis of mechanics, the torque was equal to the circumferential force multiplied by the rotation radius. When the torque was fixed, the smaller the radius, the greater the circumferential force. The physiological structure of the elbow was superior to the fist. It was more advantageous for striking. When the elbow struck out, the forearm and forearm would form a triangular support. It was like a wedge wedging into a wooden seam, or an axe splitting firewood. It could completely release the force. Without discussing which was more advantageous, just in terms of lethality, the elbow had the absolute advantage. There was an experienced saying among martial artists, that it was better to take 10 punches than an elbow. It was said that Muay Thai was not as broad and profound as Hua Xia, but the lethality of Muay Thai was recognized. This was because Muay Thai relied on elbow strikes and knee strikes. These moves were inherently lethal. Su Yun constantly used the inertia of the giant bear's swinging motion to strike the back of the giant bear's head with his elbow. After the fourth elbow strike, the giant bear finally could not stand firm. Its footsteps began to become chaotic. Any animal would have a weak spot, and most of the weak spots were similar to humans. Everyone knew that a human's weakest spot was the temple, where a heavy blow could kill. If the person was hit hard, he would most likely die. Even if he was still alive, he might be in a vegetative state. Then there was the cervical spine. This was the human body's weakest nerve center. Once it was severely damaged, it could be fatal. The death rate of cervical spine injury combined with spinal cord injury was very high. Especially high cervical spine fractures, it could easily cause respiratory and heartbeat arrest. Of course, the heart, kidneys, and arteries of the limbs were all very weak. Once they were injured, they would basically die. However, most of them required a lethal weapon. There was also a very weak spot, the back of the head. The back of the head contained the respiratory and heartbeat centers. The brain stem maintained the heartbeat, breathing, and other important physiological functions. It was the absolute center of life. Moreover, the skull at the back of the head was relatively weak. If it received a heavy blow, it could cause intracranial hematoma to be fatal. Therefore, any animal with the back of its head would find this place fatal. If you were attacked by an animal with the back of the head, don't panic. Use your greatest explosive force to attack the back of the head. Basically, you could directly KO it. If you met a hooligan looking for trouble, do the same. Hit the back of the head with an elbow. It was guaranteed that they would fall down and break their front teeth. Of course, this must be done with enough strength. It was useless to be gentle. It was possible that the hooligan would not be able to recognize his own mother the next day. This was a very useful killing move, but it could not be used casually. If you wanted to try it out for nothing, you could really accidentally kill someone. It was extremely dangerous to use it in order to protect yourself. Don't look for trouble if you don't have to. Just like now, Su Yun's life was in danger at any time. If Su Yun could not inflict a heavy blow on the giant bear before it was thrown away, as long as Su Yun was thrown down, the one who would die would be Su Yun. It was possible that the giant bear would launch a pounce the moment it threw Su Yun. At that time, Su Yun's brain would be in a daze. If he was pounced on by this big stupid bear, he would be done for immediately. At this time, Su Yun could only use the most ruthless move he could currently use to deal with the giant bear. Although the bullet would at most damage the giant bear's flesh, if Su Yun hit it, it would not only damage the flesh, but also internal injuries. The force of the elbow hit directly into the back of the bear's head. The giant bear's head was attacked, and now it was seriously dizzy. The damage to the brain was very serious. The bear was not in good condition. After 2 or 3 steps, it directly fell to the ground. Su Yun was almost dizzy from the violent vibration, but he still insisted on holding on to the giant bear's fur. The giant bear's brain was in a daze. It was dizzy. It was so dizzy that it saw stars. When it closed and opened its eyes again, it was surrounded by darkness and stars. Obviously, Su Yun's 4 powerful elbows caused a very serious injury to the giant bear's head. This injury was unbearable for the giant bear, so it crawled on the ice. Although the giant bear seemed to be dying, Su Yun still did not dare to relax. Who knew when this thing would jump up and attack him again? So, Su Yun's left hand that was holding on to the giant bear's fur did not loosen. You can't do it? Then you're too weak. That Arctic wolf just now was much stronger than you. Look at how my expensive clothes were torn apart by that beast. Su Yun patted the giant bear's head. With your skills, don't come out looking for trouble in the future. You won't even know how you died. The giant bear's breathing was very hurried, as if it was afraid of not being able to breathe. The smell of its breath was really strong, and it stung the eyes. Chapter 38:59. Su-yun pinched his nose and frowned. The smell was too strong. Did you eat shit and didn't brush your teeth? Are you okay? If not, I'm leaving. The giant bear was still lying on the ground, panting heavily, without any reaction. Su-yun patted the back of the giant bear's head. It seemed that this guy's head was really fragile. It was estimated that the inside was now a paste. It would be difficult for it to take care of itself in the future. If you can't, you can fend for yourself. You are unlucky to have met us, but we are also unlucky enough to have met you. Let's not blame each other. Su-yun said faintly, although I don't know what caused your body to mutate, since things have come to this, as a human, I still want to apologize to you. Nothing mutated for no reason. It must have been damaged by some pollution source, or invaded by some toxic substances, or affected by some kind of radiation. In short, those messy things were all caused by humans. Su-yun felt that he should apologize to the big stupid bear, although it had caused them so much trouble and almost killed Lin Gu. Just now, he also apologized to the Arctic wolf. That wolf was more difficult to deal with than this guy. If Su-yun hadn't been ruthless and used the broken pine branches to cut open the wolf's stomach, those ordinary Arctic wolves wouldn't have had the intention to escape at all. Su-yun watched as the Arctic wolf breathed its last. Su-yun was deeply apologetic and apologized to the dead wolf. Even if these animals retaliated against humans in the future, it was humans who brought it upon themselves. Su-yun didn't have much hatred for them. It could only be said that they were unlucky. Su-yun was also a human. As a human, he had to bear the responsibility for everything that humans did and bear the consequences. There was no way to change these things. These things were mistakes that must be admitted. If the polar bear's skull was damaged, it would definitely not live for long. Su-yun didn't intend to continue. He was quite sorry. He let go of the fur in his left hand and jumped off the giant bear. However, at this moment, the giant bear suddenly came back to life. Roar! In the fierce roar, the giant bear's whole body arched, and it looked like it would swallow Su-yun at any time. The stinky big mouth also opened. Polar bears had 3 deadly weapons: powerful bear paws, sharp long claws, and deadly long teeth. An ordinary polar bear could instantly kill a bearded seal weighing 200 to 300 kilograms in the water. It was easy to imagine how sharp their teeth were. Moreover, this polar bear was not an ordinary polar bear at all. Its sharp giant teeth were even more daunting. The bloody mouth directly bit at Su-yun. Su-yun, who had let down his guard, had no time to dodge. His conditioned reflex made him kick the giant bear's lower teeth and hold up the giant bear's upper teeth with both hands. Only then did he forcibly open the giant bear's mouth. The polar bear's bite was actually blocked by Su-yun. The pain in the corner of its mouth and the anger in its heart instantly made it explode. It shook its head violently and Su-yun used the force to escape from the bear's mouth. Although there were many bruises all over his body, it was much better than being swallowed by the giant bear. This giant bear had the strength to swallow Su-yun in one bite. After Su-yun landed, he took the opportunity to roll a few times. The giant bear stood up again and pounced on him. However, Su-yun did not dodge this time. At the moment when the giant bear pounced, Su-yun knew that it had deviated from its trajectory. In the case where Su-yun did not dodge at all, the giant bear missed. At this point, Su-yun could conclude that the giant bear's intracranial injury was very serious. Under such a serious intracranial injury, it was already incredible that it could stand up and launch an attack. It was also reasonable that it did not hit the target. Although Su-yun more or less broke out in a cold sweat, the fact proved that this giant bear was no longer a threat to him. Su-yun's powerful elbow strike was aimed at the back of the giant bear's head. Even an expert would not be able to withstand such an attack. It was already incredible that the giant bear could withstand 4 strikes. The mutation made the back of its skull stronger than ordinary animals. At the very least, it was already inconceivable that Su-yun's powerful elbows did not shatter it. After the giant bear missed, it seemed to be confused. It knew that it was aiming at Su-yun, but it missed. The giant bear was dizzy, and it could not stand firmly. The dizziness caused by the intracranial injury was unbearable, but it seemed that it did not want to admit that it was injured. It did not treat this dizziness as a serious injury. Just as the giant bear turned around to look for Su Yun again, it tripped and its huge body slammed heavily onto the ice surface of Big Bear Lake. The cracks on the surface of the ice began to spread in all directions with a crash. At this moment, the layer of ice under the giant bear was almost unable to withstand its weight. After all, the internal structure of the ice had been shattered when the giant bear pounced on it. The giant bear fell again, and now its huge body was pressing down on the layer of ice that was already 80% damaged. However, the layer of ice might not be able to withstand its weight. Su Yun did not dare to underestimate the enemy, and carefully retreated. He was afraid that the giant bear would pounce on him again. Su Yun carefully retreated a few meters, but the giant bear did not react at all. It seemed that it shook its head too hard just now, which aggravated the dizziness caused by the intracranial injury. This feeling made it unable to stand up again. Its head was like paste, and the dizziness was accompanied by severe pain. The giant bear's eyes were completely dark. The serious head injury made it completely give up on attacking Su Yun. At this moment, it only wanted to lie down on the ground and sleep quietly. It believed that it only needed to sleep, and when it woke up tomorrow, everything would be fine. Dreams were rich, but reality was cruel. The ice surface made frequent cracking sounds again. Su Yun was no longer so careful. He stood up and rushed out. Just as Su Yun turned around to flee, the ice beneath his feet collapsed with a loud bang. The ice within a dozen meters of the giant bear's area collapsed. The giant bear fell into the cold Big Bear Lake again. The last time the giant bear fell into the water, it desperately tried to swim upstream, but this time, it did not react at all. It did not struggle at all. Its huge body sank to the bottom of the lake little by little in front of Su Yun's eyes. Su Yun was stunned. When the lake submerged the bear's entire head, he thought that the giant bear would struggle, but the giant bear did not react at all. Su Yun actually felt a little disappointed about this. Forget it, it's all over. The giant bear sank into the water, and huge bubbles popped up, but the giant bear still did not struggle at all. The severe intracranial injury probably caused it to lose its life before it drowned in the lake, right? Su Yun looked at the lake that was slowly returning to calmness. If Earth's resources were exhausted and species went extinct, it would take hundreds of millions of years to breed new life, and after tens of thousands of years of evolution, human civilization would appear. Maybe the archaeologists at that time would find your fossil and calculate that you drowned. They would tell the new humans in the new world that polar bears can't swim. After saying that, Su Yun turned around and chased after the other three people. Su Yun didn't know why, but he felt uncomfortable. This feeling was hard to describe. In short, it was a feeling that made him feel very uncomfortable. It was the kind of feeling that made one's heart flutter. Su Yun couldn't tell what kind of feeling it was, but it was a feeling that made him feel very disgusted. The guilt of being a human could not help but arise in his heart. This was a problem that Su Yun had never considered before, but today in this extremely cold place, after experiencing so much, it was completely different from before. Some things might seem a little exaggerated before coming into contact with them, but after coming into contact with them, he understood that some of the disasters on Earth calculated by some geologists and environmental scientists were not groundless fears at all, nor were they deliberately trying to frighten people. All of this was a crisis that could suddenly erupt one day in the future. This day would probably come much sooner than the scientists predicted. After all, scientists could not predict the expansion of human greed. Su Yun saw a giant bear sinking to the bottom of the lake, but in reality, it was the entire human world that was sinking, right? Chapter 3860. Jochin Xiu led the two dogs and ran unsteadily. He had never run like this for others in his life. Su Yun caught up with him with the fastest pace. All of this was much smoother than he thought. He originally thought that this giant bear was definitely more difficult to deal with than the Arctic wolf, but this polar bear disappointed him and was defeated so quickly. Of course, all of this was due to Lin Ji's previous consumption of the bear. It was because of Lin Ge's huge consumption of the Arctic wolf that he could solve the problem so easily. Zhou Qinxiu suddenly felt a lot lighter under his feet. When he looked back, Su Yun had already caught up and was pushing the sled with one hand to help. Zhou Qinxiu was so shocked that he couldn't say anything. This guy is just like his father. He can always create all kinds of miracles. Is everyone in the Su family like this? Anything that is completely impossible in the eyes of others can be solved by the Su family? Who? This is really like father like son. Dragons give birth to dragons and phoenixes give birth to phoenixes. This is really the case. Once, Zhou Qinxiu hated it when people used the phrase, like father, like son, to describe some second generations with good family backgrounds. Because he was poor and had nothing, the words used to describe him must be, the son of a mouse knows how to dig holes. But he also became a person with identity and status step by step with his own efforts, so he hated people saying that like father, like son. But today, looking at Su Yun, Zhou Qinxiu was convinced. Can the son of Su Chan and Yun Luyen do anything wrong? Of course, he can't do anything wrong. In addition to admiration, Zhou Qinxiu only had admiration. Gu Qia and Lin Guo also saw Zhou Qinxiu's surprised expression. They turned their heads and found Su Yun behind the sled. Brother, you solved it so quickly? Lin Ji's face was filled with shock. He had never thought of a way to completely deal with the giant bear. The only thing he could do was deal with it. It was like facing a pot of boiling hot water. No one could drink it. They could only wait. At most, they could blow and fan the water until it cooled down. Lin Gu didn't know that it was because he thought of a way to cool down the hot water that Su Yun was able to drink it in one gulp. Because you have a good foundation. Su Yun smiled. If it wasn't for you making that big guy tired, I'd probably be dead by now. Gu Qia was extremely excited. She was really worried that something would happen to Su Yun. If something happened to Su Yun, she would really be at a loss. Look at your clothes. You don't have any down feathers left, do you? Gu Qia's heart ached. I'm wearing a lot. I'll give you my outerwear. Gu Qia was really worried that Su Yun would freeze. Lin Gu stopped her. Miss Gu, my brother definitely knows your intentions, but he will definitely be thin if he wears your clothes. It's better to wear mine. Both of you should rest. There's not much movement on the sled. If you take off your clothes, you'll be frozen into an iceman, right? Su Yun said, I don't need it. I still have to pull you and run for a while. As long as I can still move, I won't freeze. That won't do. The key is that your down feathers are gone. Gu Qia shook her head. Su Yun had already walked to the front. He grabbed the leash and ran side by side with Zhou Qinxiu. Zhou Qinxiu seemed to be a little restrained in front of Su Yun. He just looked at Su Yun and said nothing. Mr. Zhou Lao, we are sorry for today's matter. We let you suffer with us. Su Yun said faintly, I hope you can forgive us. We didn't expect such a thing to happen. Sorry. We sincerely apologize. Zhou Qinxiu still chose to be silent. But after more than 10 seconds of silence, he suddenly threw the sled leash in his hand on the ground and stopped. Su Yun also stopped. They didn't know what happened to Zhou Qinxiu. Lin Gu frowned. Mr. Zhou, you're not going to go on strike again, are you? I just had a good impression of you. Please don't ruin your image in my heart. Zhou Qinxiu silently took off his fur coat. He ignored Lin Ji's words, but said to himself, people at my age can't afford to run so far. I sweat when I run. I'm dying of heat. After he took off his fur coat, there was another fur coat inside. He had a lot of survival experience in this place. He probably put on all the clothes he could when he ran to the cabin in the pine forest. Wearing more clothes in this kind of place was only good and not bad. In addition to keeping out the cold, it could also resist the attacks of animals, such as the sharp claws and sharp teeth of Arctic wolves and polar bears. When they bit on the thick clothes, it could more or less resist. Without these thick clothes, the arms and legs would definitely be torn off by those animals. Even if they were not torn off, the bones could be bitten off fiercely. Oh, not bad. You have a conscience. Lin Ge smiled when he saw Jiu Qianxiu doing this. Mr. Jiu, I have turned from a hater to a fan of you. Gu Qia also smiled. She believed that no one thought that Jiu Qianxiu would do this. Even Jiu Qianxiu himself did not think that he would do this. This was not his style of doing things at all. It was really not like him at all. You help me put it on. Jiu Qianxiu directly threw the fur coat to Su Yun. Although the lack of a coat would make the body temperature drop a lot, it was definitely not enough to freeze Jiu Qianxiu to death. However, Su Yun's current clothes were absolutely likely to freeze to death here. After all, they still had a long way to go from the car. Along the way, Su Yun could not keep any heat in his body, and it would consume a lot of energy. In addition, he had almost exhausted his physical strength. If it were not for his extraordinary physical fitness, it would be impossible to persist until now. Most people would have died long ago. Thank you, Mr. Zhou. Su Yun saw that he still had a coat inside, so he did not say any more unnecessary polite words. Talking was not Su Yun's strength. Su Yun wrapped the thick fur coat around her body, and immediately, her body temperature was no longer the same. Let's go. If we don't find an enclosed space to warm up as soon as possible, it will be useless no matter how many clothes we wear. Jiu Qianxiu said, It's windy now. The wind at night is particularly cold. The temperature is -40 degrees on weekdays. Once there is a slightly stronger wind, it is definitely more unbearable than a windless day of -50 degrees. It was already -50 or 60 degrees at night. If the wind was stronger, it could really blow people to death outdoors. Su Yun quickened his pace. After Lin Ji's body recovered to a certain extent, he did not sit in the sled anymore. He began to pull the sled together again. The three people pulled Gu Qia together, and their speed was obviously different from before. In the dark night, they could only rely on the GPS to find the direction. They did not know how far they had walked, and they finally saw their big Ford pickup truck. The originally huge car was now wrapped in a layer of ice and snow, and it looked like it was fatter. There was ice on the outside of the car. Lin Ge kicked the body of the car and shattered the thin ice on the body before opening the door. They were finally saved. Because the car was modified and the compartment was closed, there was no problem with their food inside. The two dogs could also have a place to hide from the wind, snow, and cold. Come on, little baby. You two have done a good job today. Lin Ge found two big hams in the car. Although they were a little too cold and a little hard, he believed that they would still be a delicacy that the Alaskan dogs would like these 2 days. The two dogs were really hungry. They looked at the hams in Lin Ji's hands and sat up cross-legged. Don't grab. One for each. One for each. Don't grab with anyone. Lin Ge gave the two hams to the two Alaskan dogs, and the two dogs immediately went into a state of gorging themselves. Gu Qia, who had been trying to start the car, suddenly lost her mood. Because it was too cold, the car could not start normally. These troubles really came one after another. If the car could not start, they could not stay in the car at all. They would freeze to death if they stayed in the car without air conditioning and heating. Chapter 3861. After all, the car had been frozen in such a cold world of ice and snow for a long time. The car windows were also frozen, and the windshield wipers were frozen directly on the glass. These were nothing for the experienced Su Yun. He asked Lin Ge to give him a bottle of white wine in the trunk of the car. This white wine was prepared before they came, and many bottles were prepared. Originally, it was for drinking a few mouthfuls when it was too cold to warm his skin. Now, it came in handy. Su Yun poured the vodka on a piece of cloth, covered the windshield wipers, and wiped them hard. In this way, it would be easier to solve the problem in a while. Jiu Qianxiu took the remaining vodka from Su Yun and poured it directly into his mouth. He knew the benefits of alcohol in a world of ice and snow. Do you want to have a sip to warm your body? Jiu Qianxiu said to Su Yun as he drank. Su Yun shook his head. I'm not so cold now. I don't need it for the time being. Drink some to warm your stomach and liver. Jochin Xiu said and poured himself a few more mouthfuls. He hadn't drunk white wine for a long time, and he really wanted to drink it. After a few mouthfuls, Jochin Xiu felt his body heat up. He took off the fur coat for Su Yun. This wine was too important to him. People would feel hot after drinking because alcohol stimulated the capillaries on the surface of the body, thickening the blood vessels and accelerating the blood flow to the skin. Under the stimulation of alcohol, the blood stored in the liver and other parts of the human body would also flow to the surface of the body. Even if it was only the skin that felt warm, it could make people feel much more comfortable. However, it was still necessary to make it clear that drinking to warm the body was not as popular as the rumors said. Drinking wine in winter to warm the body and so on were all excuses given by people who liked to drink. Because this kind of heat was only temporary, the heat consumed due to the accelerated heat dissipation of the body was more than the heat provided by alcohol. When the effect of alcohol passed, a large amount of heat stored in the body was released outside the body. Because of the effect of alcohol, the blood vessels could not contract in time to prevent the blood from releasing heat. The body's ability to resist the cold was reduced, causing people to have goosebumps all over. This was the so-called cold after drinking. Many people felt cold after drinking. If the car couldn't start and the air conditioner couldn't work properly, drinking wasn't a wise choice. Mr. Zhou, you should drink less. Gu Chia jumped out of the car. The car can't start. Maybe it's too cold. When Jochin Xiu heard this, he shook his head helplessly. If it can't be activated, the result will be the same whether I drink it or not, so I have nothing to worry about. Drinking a small amount of alcohol in winter is good for the body, but drinking too much alcohol will not only hurt the stomach, but also the liver and increase the burden on the heart. Drinking too much in winter is the most likely to cause heart disease. This is based on scientific evidence. Gu Chia said, drinking more than 1 ounce is considered excessive. Jochin Xiu laughed, 1 tael is not enough for me to drink. Miss Gu is saying this for your own good. Lin Gu also came over and said, it's fine for us young people to drink a few mouthfuls to feel warm. Our bodies are still young, but for people over 50 years old to rely on alcohol to keep out the cold in winter is not a wise choice. Gu Chia also said, when people get older, they are not very sensitive to changes in body temperature. If drinking causes the central regulation of body temperature to be disrupted, it is easier to damage the thermoregulation function. It is very dangerous. We're only telling you this because you saved us from that place. Lin Gu added, we don't want to talk to people who are unrelated to us even if they drink themselves to death. Jochin Xiu just smiled silently and didn't listen to their advice. He continued to drink 2 mouthfuls. Don't worry, I won't drink too much. I'll just drink a little. You don't have to say more. Mr. Zhou Lao must be clear. Su Yun said, he has lived here for a long time. He must know how to keep out the cold better than us. Yes. To keep out the cold, you need to eat nutritious and high-calorie food, so that it can help the body increase heat. The second is to strengthen the warmth. Jochin Xiu picked up the bottle and glanced at it, but he didn't continue to drink. If you simply rely on drinking to keep out the cold, you won't be able to withstand the cold. I know that drinking to keep out the cold is not advisable. The saying that drinking promotes blood circulation and is good for the joints is nonsense. Ha ha ha, the heat produced by alcohol is limited. It is only harmful to the joints. There is no benefit at all. Su Yun smiled slightly. At Jochin Xiu's age, he could still pull the sleigh and walk so far in the ice and snow. There must be no problem with his joints. He must know how to protect his body better than all his peers and how to maintain his health. Jochin Xiu put the wine aside. Actually, I haven't drunk for many, many years. It doesn't look like it. You should be quite good at drinking, right? Lin Gu smiled. It's only been a few mouthfuls. You have already drunk half the bottle. I used to be quite good at drinking, but I stopped drinking when I moved to this place. Jochin Xiu shook his head. Long-term drinking will accelerate the loss of bone calcium, leading to weak feet and back pain. Moreover, frequent drinking will lead to the synthesis of endogenous cholesterol, increasing plasma cholesterol and triglyceride concentrations, causing atherosclerosis. I didn't feel it when I was young, but I can clearly feel it when I'm older. It's not worth it to suffer for the rest of my life just to drink a mouthful of wine every day. Su Yun had opened the engine cover. He had no time to discuss with them whether drinking was good or bad for the body. It was meaningless. Patients with alcohol addiction would always lose all their senses for a mouthful of wine. They would not care about anything. Even if they knew that they might be hospitalized the next day after drinking, they would still enjoy it. People who were not addicted to alcohol would never understand what people with alcohol addiction were thinking. To put it simply, it was no different from taking drugs. It could not be quit. It was harmful to the body and had no benefit. "Pigeon, bring me the battery I asked you to prepare for me," Su Yun said. When the weather was too cold, it was easy to cause this situation even if the car battery did not lose electricity. It was all because it was too cold. When Gu Chia ignited the engine just now, Su Yun heard the sound. At first, it was a crackling sound. There was no response. When she ignited the engine, it became a sizzling sound. After Lin Gu brought the battery that Su Yun had prepared in advance, Su Yun asked him to bring the prepared oil. Now he had to change some oil because the viscosity of the oil would increase when the weather was cold. It would be difficult for the oil to flow, which would increase the engine resistance. Changing some new oil would more or less help. Go and see the degree of freezing of the exhaust pipe. Find something that can be burned to defrost it, Su Yun said to Lin Gu, who brought the oil. After preparing all this, Su Yun used the tools in the car to drain the oil and replaced it with new oil. Then, he connected the battery. After Lin Gu melted the ice on the exhaust pipe, he asked Gu Chia to try again. Su Yun asked Gu Chia to refuel the car when she tried to turn the key again. She had to continuously step on the accelerator. When the car was about to start, she had to release the accelerator. This could prevent the car from being damaged by stepping on the accelerator. It would be troublesome if the car was damaged. After a while, the car finally started normally. After starting the car, they drove very slowly to let the car adapt. The air conditioner had warm air, which also raised the temperature in the car a lot. The few of them finally felt more comfortable in the car. The car was modified very well. There was a small window between the cockpit and the trunk that could be opened. This way, the warm air could also be poured into the trunk. After the two Alaskan dogs ate some more, they fell asleep in the trunk of the car. It was probably the first time in their lives that they enjoyed this kind of air conditioning treatment. The car could finally drive at a normal speed. Su Yun and the others also drove south overnight. The farther they were from the northern area, the higher the temperature was. They probably didn't want to stay in this damn place for a minute. Jochen Xiu closed his eyes in the car, but he did not fall asleep. After meeting Su Yun, he had too many emotions. It also reminded him of too many things in his past. In this case, it would be difficult for anyone to fall asleep again. Gu Chia also had a lot of questions to ask, especially about Jochen Xiu and Su Yun's parents. This made her very curious, but she didn't know if Jochen Xiu was willing to talk about this issue, so she didn't mention this topic. If Jochen Xiu was willing to talk about it, she believed that he would definitely talk about it. Chapter 3862. The car traveled a long distance across most of Canada. After the reserve gasoline in the oil drum was used up, Su Yun and the others finally came to a more prosperous city in the south. After refueling, replenishing, and a bunch of things were solved, several people were completely relaxed physically and mentally. After getting in the car again, Su Yun said to Jochen Xiu, "Mr. Zhou, we can now go directly to Seattle or go to Vancouver first. You haven't seen old Gu for a long time, right?" Jochen Xiu shook his head. "Let's go directly to Seattle. As for Mr. Gu, I haven't seen him for a long time. It's fine if we don't see each other." This was Jochen Xiu's own choice. Although Gu Chia did not understand what he was thinking, she would respect Jochen Xiu's decision. Perhaps he was such a person. It's a pity not to see him. Lin Gu could not understand. It's not far from Vancouver. We don't care if we delay for a day. We are not in a hurry. As long as Jochin Xiu was willing to help, it did not matter if they waited for another day. This idea was also Su Yun's idea, so Su Yun asked Jochin Xiu's opinion. Jochin Xiu still shook his head. Well, then let's go directly to Seattle. Su Yun said, when things are done, if you want to see old Gu, let Gu Chia take you there. Jochin Xiu did not speak. Maybe he had not thought about it yet, or maybe he felt that he did not know what to say when they met. It was more awkward to be restrained. If Uncle Joe wants to go, then we will go. Gu Chia said, if Uncle Joe feels inconvenient, then I will send you back. No need. Jochin Xiu shook his head. I don't plan to go back again. Lin Gu nodded. That's right. That place is not safe now. Now the ecology is seriously damaged. That place is full of aggressive animals. There is no way to survive if you encounter a mutated one. Yeah, I should thank you. Jochin Xiu said, if it weren't for you, if I met that giant bear, I'm afraid I would only end up being smashed and swallowed alive. Jochin Xiu did not know that such a giant bear appeared in the place where he lived. It's a stroke of luck. This is also a kind of arrangement of fate, Su Yun said indifferently. Hearing fate, Jochin Xiu was filled with emotion. Yes, fate is really incredible. I didn't expect to meet you in my lifetime and help you. Fate, it's really fate. Fate wants me to pay my debts. Su Yun was stunned for a moment. What do you mean, Mr. Ninth Elder? You don't owe us anything, so how can you say that you're paying us back? No, I owe your Su family too much. Jochin Xiu shook his head. Gu Chia knew that he definitely had a lot to say in his heart and had been holding it in. He wanted to say it, but he didn't know how to say it to Su Yun. If it wasn't for your help this time, we definitely wouldn't have been able to solve this matter so easily. We owe you a favor. Lin Gu followed Su Yun's words and said, I didn't treat you well before. I'm sorry, Ninth Elder. Pigeon is right. Mr. Ninth Elder, we really want to apologize to you. Su Yun said, our previous bad attitude was forced by the situation. I hope you can understand. Jochin Xiu smiled bitterly. Karma is a circle. What should be paid back must be paid back. What I owe your father, I've paid it back with you. It's God's love for me and gave me a chance to redeem myself. Su Yun was stunned. When Jochin Xiu mentioned his father, his face looked particularly ugly. Gu Chia said, Uncle Joe, in fact, if you say a lot of things, it will make you feel a lot more relaxed. Although we don't know what happened to your previous generation, those are things that have long passed. There is nothing to pursue now. Su Yun did not speak. He looked at Jochin Xiu, hoping that he could continue to say something. Lin Gu also drove quietly. He was also curious about Jochin Xiu's past. He really wanted to know more about Jochin Xiu's past with the previous generation. Jochin Xiu was silent for a while before he said, Su Yun, although your father and I are not sworn friends, we are still friends. He was very good to me. He helped me, took care of me, and even saved me. But I betrayed him. Su Yun was shocked that Jochin Xiu betrayed him. If Jochin Xiu just said that he knew his father, Su Yun might not feel surprised. After all, his father used to be a powerful figure. Anyone who had a certain status and reputation in society would not be surprised if they said that they knew his father. Su Yun did not know much about his father, but he had heard too much about his father's glory from Zhang Taisui and Wang Yi, and even Wan Guangxiao. Let's put it this way. In the era of Su Yun's father, if he said that he was the second, no one dared to say that they were the first. Yun Luyen of the Yun family, the number one family at that time, was impressed by him. Empress Sua Langyue also knelt down beside him and worshipped him. How could such a person be described? Su Yun did not speak. He was waiting for Jochin Xiu to speak. Those ephemeral matters were not important to Su Yun. After all, it was more than 20 years ago, even before Su Yun was born. If Su Yun were to pursue those things, it would be meaningless. Your father trusted me so much in the beginning, Jochin Xiu said sadly, Just because I had such a little ability and helped him in some things, he treated me. Speaking of this, Zhou Qianxiu felt as if a fishbone was stuck in his throat. After slightly adjusting her emotions, she continued to speak. He has definitely done me a great favor. I have offended so many people. If it weren't for your father, I'm afraid I would have died a long time ago. He was willing to settle some things for me. That's also because you helped him. Su Yun said, "This is nothing. No one will leave someone who has helped them in the lurch." Zhou Qianxiu shook his head with a wry smile. "Su Yun, you don't know what I did in the beginning." Su Yun smiled slightly and stopped talking. "Your father's good friends. Everyone has said that I am a person who can't be befriended. I am an unreliable person. I am a person who can't be trusted at all. But, sigh." Zhou Qianxiu suddenly took a deep breath and tried to adjust his mood again. "Although I know little about my father, I believe he should be a smart person." Su Yun said, "I think a smart person will not do stupid things, right? If he chooses to trust you, it is also what he thinks is right." No, it was a mistake for him to trust me, because I am not a trustworthy person at all." Zhou Qianxiu shook his head. He blamed himself, struggled, and had all kinds of emotions, but he was more annoyed. "Let bygones be bygones." Su Yun was very calm. "Even if there is something, it has been so many years. There is no need to pursue it. You are really your father's son. You are as generous as him." Zhou Qianxiu sighed. "When I did something wrong to him for the first time, he said the same thing. If he didn't stand up and speak up, I wouldn't have had the chance to betray him again. I was a villain who would do anything for money." How could Su Yun not be curious, but he didn't know how to ask. And he was still entangled. Why should he know those things? If he knew, would he have other opinions about Zhou Qianxiu? Or hate him? These were all things that Su Yun could not guarantee. No matter what, his father was his father. Even if his father did not do anything to him and did not give anything, he was still his father after all. This was something that Su Yun could never deny. At that time, many people said that they wanted to get rid of me. Zhou Qianxiu glanced at Lin Ge after he finished speaking. "Your master's knife was already on my neck." He. Lu Xuanji was so impulsive back then. The child he taught is really like him. Lin Ge drove calmly on the surface, but his curiosity was bursting. Old man Lu actually had something to do with this? The relationship between them was really deep. Chapter 3863. To tell you the truth, when I first learned of your identities, I really thought you came to me to seek revenge. Zhou Qianxiu turned his head out of the window. "I betrayed your father and almost got him killed. As a result, he actually forgave me." Su Yun continued to remain calm. "Maybe he thought it was nothing at all. It was your mother, Yun Luyen, who was magnanimous. She asked your father not to care about me. She said that she would give me another chance for the sake of what I had done before." Zhou Qianxiu lowered his head, and his voice was even more dull. "I have never seen a woman as magnanimous as your mother." "Never." Su Yun was silent. Not only people in the world, but even animals seem to have deeper feelings for their mothers than for their fathers. As the saying goes, a child is a piece of flesh that has fallen from a mother's body. Anyone who still had a conscience would feel especially touched and grateful towards this. Perhaps Su Yun, as a man, could not understand this feeling, but he still felt grateful towards his mother who he knew nothing about. Some people said that a father's love was like a mountain, and a mother's love was like the sea. Indeed, Su Yun was not lucky enough to feel all this, but he could still feel what he saw around him. So his nostalgia and curiosity about his mother seemed to be far more than his curiosity about his father. After all, Su Yun had heard some things about his father from many people. After all, although he could not see his father, Su Yun knew that he was still alive in this world. But his mother was long gone. So Su Yun missed his mother more. More importantly, Su Yun's nostalgia for his mother was far deeper than that for his father. It was an emotion that he did not dare to face. Perhaps it was because of this that the people around Su Yun who knew his parents never mentioned his mother to him. I know very well that Su Chen wanted to kill me at the beginning. I also know that I deserve it. After all this happened because of me. I was the one who wronged him first. Jochin Xiu finally looked at Su Yun. I was heartless, and he didn't have to lecture me. Even if you kill me now, I can accept it. Su Yun was silent for a moment. If my father didn't kill you back then I think I have no reason to kill you either. Su Yun's voice was rather low. Jochin Xiu was slightly startled. He didn't kill me, but it wasn't that he didn't want to kill me. He wanted to kill me, but he didn't because of your mother, Yun Luyen. Why? Su Yun did not look at Jochin Xiu. Why would she stop you? Is it just because of what you did for my father? Yes. Jochin Xiu nodded. That's all. That's why I said that Yun Luyen is the most generous woman I have ever met. However, other than my mother, I'm afraid no one else can advise my father. Su Yun. Perhaps it was just a casual remark from my mother, but in his ears, it carried more weight than anyone else's words. Jochin Xiu did not speak. It's just my mother who advised him. It doesn't mean anything. If others had other opinions and suggestions, maybe you would have died long ago. Su Yun's voice was quite indifferent. Anyone who heard these things would be in a bad mood. Su Yun was no exception. It was impossible for anyone to be in a good mood. Perhaps everyone wanted to kill me back then except for your mother. Jochin Xiu said, Zhualangyue arranged for people to chase me for many years. If I hadn't relied on disguise to constantly escape, I would have died long ago. Those people under her are not to be trifled with. Anyone who meets me can easily kill me. Su Yun frowned. Zhualangyue? One must know that the people under the Empress were all at the level of the 5 war gods. Of course, any one of them could easily kill Jochin Xiu. Jochin Xiu nodded. My father was in contact with her at that time? Su Yun was stunned for a moment. He heard that his father had a period of time with Zhualangyue after his mother left this world. They were in contact. Jochin Xiu said, The Empress is not the only one who admires and pursues your father in the underground world. None of the 13 hairpins in Huaxia does not want to be loved by your father. Su Yun could not say much about the previous generation, so he did not ask any more questions. At that time, Zhualangyue was furious when she learned that your father was going to let me go and not pursue everything I did. Jochin Xiu said, She knew that this was definitely not your father's decision, but Yun Liuyen's idea. Why would she think so? Su Yun said. Because she knows your father. Although your father is extraordinarily magnanimous in some things, your father will not forgive a person who has betrayed him continuously. Jochin Xiu said, He has given me a chance, but I didn't cherish it enough. So Zhualangyue thought that this was not what my father wanted. Su Yun said, She thought this was just my mother's idea, so my father gave up what he wanted to do and his principles for the woman he loved? Jochin Xiu nodded. Yes. Su Yun smiled slightly. The love and entanglement of the previous generation were really interesting. These were not things he could control. So Zhualangyue has always been the person who was most jealous of Yun Luyen. Jochin Xiu continued, Since ancient times, beauties have loved heroes. With your father's status and charisma, it is difficult not to attract the attention of so many women. Su Yun did not say anything. He could not make any judgment about this. Zhualangyue vented all her jealousy and jealousy of your mother on hunting me down. Jochin Xiu smiled bitterly. When I heard that your father decided to forgive me, I planned to apologize. Unfortunately, Zhualangyue did not intend to give me this opportunity. She has been hunting you down all this time? Su Yun asked. As far as I know, the Empress is very strict in doing things. As you said, those people under her can easily deal with you. Not just the 5 guys under her. Jochin Xiu smiled bitterly. You will never be able to imagine the charm of Empress Zhualangyue back then. In this world, I'm afraid that apart from your father, no other man can withstand her gaze. Su Yun had something to say, but he did not say it. He did not think that his father could withstand it. If he could, he would not have a sister like Bai Xiaoye. Countless heroes are willing to bow down for her. Jochin Xiu said, "Why is Hua Langyue called the Empress? It is not only because of her unparalleled combat power, but also because of her charm. She's like an empress. With just a word from her, people would be willing to sacrifice their lives for her." Su Yun was stunned. He really didn't expect his little mother to be so powerful. "It is because of Hua Langyue that I can't continue to live with my own face." Jochin Xiu smiled bitterly. "When I was at my worst, I had to change my face every day. In the whole Huaxia, I hid in every corner, but there was no way to escape completely. Aunt Zhua is too fierce." Lin Gu sighed as he drove. He thought that it was really pitiful to offend Hua Langyue. There was no place for him in such a big Huaxia. Jochin Xiu continued to smile bitterly. "Yes, even if Su Chen said that he would let me go, he just didn't want to see me again. There were still many people who were willing to take my head for Hua Langyue. I had no place in Huaxia at all, so I had to escape abroad." "You came to North America at that time?" Gu Chia was also fascinated. "I didn't escape to North America at first. I am very homesick. I don't want to be so far away from Huaxia." Jochin Xiu said, "I wanted to escape to the South Asian countries first, but there was still no place for me in those places." Gu Chia was stunned. She didn't expect the Empress to be so powerful. "In this way I went to Europe, Australia, and later came to North America." Jochin Xiu said, "It was at that time that I realized a problem. No matter where I escaped to, as long as there were people, their people would find me sooner or later." Chapter 3864. Jochin Xiu once again turned his gaze to the window, looking at the country that he had no chance to appreciate after coming here. "If Mr. Gu hadn't saved me that time, I'm afraid I wouldn't have had a chance to survive." Jochin Xiu shook his head and said, "In fact, that should have been the end of my life. It's just that Mr. Gu helped me before the real ruthless character arrived." Gu Chia understood that Jochin Xiu's encounter was also a big trouble. Jochin Xiu blamed himself. "Mr. Gu asked me who I had provoked. I didn't dare to admit it because I was worried that he would kick me out if he knew that the person who caused me trouble was Hua Langyue. No one is willing to take this risk, so I lied to him and said that I didn't know why those people were causing me trouble." Gu Chia didn't speak again. In fact, she was really scared when she thought about it now. Jochin Xiu, who had never said these words, really felt a lot of guilt in his heart. "I stayed in your Gu family because of my selfishness." Jochin Xiu said, "I knew that once I went out, I would definitely die." Lin Gu also heard some of the serious consequences, but if you stayed in Miss Gu's house, you would bring danger to the Gu family. This is really too much. Jochin Xiu lowered his head in shame. "Yes, when I stayed in the Gu family, I would only bring danger to the Gu family. But I did it for myself. Don't mention the past anymore." Gu Chia said, "Anyway, we didn't encounter any trouble." Su Yun thought to himself that if something had really happened to him, everything would have been different now. God cares for Mr. Gu. Jochin Xiu said, "He can do so many good things for the Chinese abroad, take care of so many Chinese people, and give so many people a chance to live in this world. Therefore, God cares for him and doesn't let the tragedy happen." "You knew the consequences at the beginning." Su Yun said, "You didn't say anything even when you left?" Jochin Xiu nodded, "Yes." Gu Chia had been silent all the time. Jochin Xiu's behavior was more or less biting the hand that feeds you. Once the Empress really found out about the Gu family, it was impossible for the Gu family to compete with the Empress's people with their strength. No one would be able to remain indifferent when faced with a guy who had almost pushed his entire family into the abyss. "I know I was wrong." Jochin Xiu said to Gu Chia, "Everything I did seriously threatened your Gu family. It doesn't matter. It's already in the past." Gu Chia's magnanimity was already rare for her to say such words. Su Yun caught a detail. "Since you wanted to get rid of everything, why did you send Mr. Gu a postcard and tell him where you were? If not for this, Gu Chia would not have brought Su Yun and Lin Gu to this place to find him. When Gu Chia heard Su Yun's words, she couldn't help but be stunned. Because I regret bringing trouble to them. They helped me, but I left the danger to the Gu family. I know I'm not human. Zhou Qianxiu said, I'm worried that the Empress will find out about the Gu family because of me sooner or later. So, I decided to tell Mr. Gu my address. Su Yun nodded. Gu Chia bowed her head again and was silent. You still have a conscience. Lin Gu said, your conscience must have been tormented. You feel that it's too inhumane. You've let Mr. Gu down, right? Zhou Qianxiu did not answer. His gaze was still outside the car window. You're smart to do this. Su Yun said faintly, leave Mr. Gu a message about you. If the Empress's trouble really finds him, he still has a chance. Zhou Qianxiu did not speak. It was a tacit agreement. After a long pause, he spoke again. If the Empress really finds the Gu family, I hope Mr. Gu will tell the Empress's people about me. Maybe this can set him free. My father is not a person who will betray his friends. Gu Chia said, although we helped you, you also helped us. We're even. You are a friend in my father's eyes. As long as you are a friend, my father will not betray you. It's because of this that I've been suffering all these years. Zhou Qianxiu sighed. I'm especially worried that this kind of thing will happen. The longer it takes, the older I get, the more I'm afraid of bringing disaster to you. Lin Gu wanted to say that this was called self-inflicted evil, but he did not say it. If I hadn't seen you, I wouldn't have known if you were all right. Zhou Qianxiu said, I didn't dare to inquire about it. I didn't want to know anything. In this way, I could tell myself that you are all fine. I thought I could be comforted and relieved this way. This person who hovered on the edge of morality must have lived a painful life. This is why you don't want to see Mr. Gu, right? Su Yun asked. Zhou Qianxiu thought for a long time and nodded, yes. I don't have the face to see Mr. Gu at all. Why should I see Mr. Gu? The things I've done over the years. What qualifications do I have to see Mr. Gu? You really don't have the qualifications to see Mr. Gu. Lin Gu had always been very straightforward. If it were me, I wouldn't have the face to see him. Zhou Qianxiu smiled bitterly. It's enough for me to know that Mr. Gu is in good health. This may be the greatest comfort in my heart. Gu Chia glanced at Zhou Qianxiu. Have you always done things like this? Zhou Qianxiu heard the blame in Gu Chia's voice. She had the right to point at him. She even said that he would rather hear the Gu family's people blame him than the Gu family's politeness to him. I'm sorry. Zhou Qianxiu said, I've done too many of these things in my life. I'm not worthy of being a human being. Su Yun did not know Zhou Qianxiu's growth and living environment, so he did not have much conclusion about Zhou Qianxiu. Perhaps no one could get rid of this personality after growing up in Zhou Qianxiu's environment. They could only say that Zhou Qianxiu's personality had problems. Only people with personality flaws and problems would do such a thing. But Zhou Qianxiu was conflicted. He also knew that everything he did was so disdainful. What was terrible was that he had no way to correct it in the face of all this. He knew that it was wrong to do so, but he still chose to do things like that for his own benefit. This was probably something that could never be changed. A lot of things can't be solved with just an apology. Zhou Qianxiu said, I know that I have no way to make up for the wrong things I have done, so I'm also very conflicted, and very overwhelmed. Su Yun said, in fact, you can let go of everything now. It's been so many years. I think, even Zhuo Langyue won't pursue it anymore. You said that because you don't know Zhuo Langyue. Zhou Qianxiu said, she will never let me go. Even, as long as she has the chance to know what the Gu family has done, she will not forgive the Gu family. I'm really afraid. I'm afraid that the Gu family will be in trouble because of me. Su Yun said faintly, I can't say what will happen to you, but I can guarantee that the Gu family will be fine. I won't let Mr. Gu have this trouble. You can rest assured about this. Jochin Xiu shook his head. You haven't seen Zhuolangyue. You don't know her at all. She won't. It's been so many years. People will always change. Haven't you changed too? Su Yun said, Zhuolangyue will change as well. And, why do you assert that I haven't seen her, and why do you assert that I don't know her? Jochin Xiu's expression was extremely surprised. Have you seen Zhuolangyue? Of course. Su Yun said silently, otherwise, why would I dare to make these guarantees in front of Gu Chia? Jochin Xiu was so shocked that he couldn't say a word. He couldn't understand it. Zhuolangyue was so jealous. Facing the child of Su Chan and Yun Luyen, she actually... This is too incredible. Although Jochin Xiu didn't say anything, Su Yun could guess what he was thinking in his heart. There is a saying, love me, love my dog. Su Yun said, maybe she doesn't like my mother, but I am not only my mother's child, but also my father's. Maybe in her heart, I am my father's successor. She won't do anything to me. Chapter 38-65. Jochin Xiu had been looking at Su Yun with different eyes. He couldn't understand many things, but he believed in Su Yun's words. He believed in Su Yun's words 100%. Jochin Xiu couldn't predict what Zhuolangyue would do. Mr. Gu also helped me. Su Yun said, I believe she can understand me. If that's the case, I really owe your Su family too much. Jochin Xiu smiled bitterly. I really owe too much. There is no way to repay it. No, you have plenty of opportunities to repay it. Lin Gu said, as long as you help us this time, it's your repayment. Brother, am I right? Su Yun didn't ask how Jochin Xiu betrayed his father. It was not that he didn't want to know, but he was worried that once he knew, there would be too much estrangement between him and Jochin Xiu. This was not conducive to their cooperation, so Su Yun didn't ask about this topic. Since Lin Gu had already said so, he was willing to go along with it. Mr. Jiu, if you really feel that you owe my father, I hope that you can help us this time. This will be your way of making it up to him. Jochin Xiu nodded. Believe me, I will do my best. I will never let you down. Then I'll have to trouble you. Su Yun said lightly. Although this wasn't a happy ending, it was still a good situation. At least, the relationship between everyone wasn't particularly stiff. This was already a very good situation for them. There is one more thing. I don't know if I should ask. Jochin Xiu said, but I really can't help it. I don't know if you will mind. Is it about my father? Su Yun seemed to be able to guess what Jochin Xiu was thinking. Jochin Xiu nodded, yes. My understanding of my father is almost zero. This is the only thing I can tell you. Su Yun, it can be said that he doesn't exist in my memories at all. Not just him but also my mother. They don't exist in my memories. To be exact, I don't have any memories of them at all. Jochin Xiu was silent. He really didn't know that he had asked such a stupid question. The first memory I have of my life is the old man, and then, it's my own life, Su Yun said. He couldn't share the things he knew about the Dragon Brigade. Zhang Taisui. Jochin Xiu asked tentatively. Other than Hua Xia, who else dares to call themselves the Taisui Lord? Su Yun retorted. Jochin Xiu nodded and was silent for a moment. You were brought up by Zhang Taisui. Didn't he tell you anything about me? Mr. Ninth Elder, perhaps your matter isn't that big of a deal to them. Su Yun said, I said that I won't pursue the past. You don't have to ask about it. I didn't mean that. Jochin Xiu said, I know that Zhang Taisui is a good friend of your father. He will help your father with many things, and your father respects his advice. They are close friends who appreciate each other. I am a person who deserves to die. Zhang Taisui reminded your father many times to be wary of me, but your father still chose to believe me. That means that the old man is more vicious than my father. Su Yun said, it doesn't mean anything. I let your father down. Zhou Qianxiu said sadly, I also owe Zhang Taisui a favor, but he has been dead for so long, and I haven't even gone to his tombstone to see him. AI. Those things of the past really can't come back. Your choice is destined to leave you all alone. Su Yun said, in fact, I don't understand. With your character, how could you know them? How could you become my father's friend? How could it be? To be honest, I really don't understand. Zhou Qianxiu lowered his head in shame. Yes, each of them is very loyal, but I am a person whose character is incompatible with them. I have never taken anything like loyalty to heart. About this, your father has also told me many times. I also know the mistakes I have made, but I am such a person. I can't change it. No matter what, I can't change it. You betrayed my father, which is tantamount to betraying everyone. Su Yun said, it is really a miracle that you can still survive. Zhou Qianxiu sighed, who said it isn't? It is really a miracle that I can survive. Really? I think about it every day. Why did I survive? Did God see that I am so afraid of death, so he gave me a chance? There are many people who are afraid of death, but countless people have died. Lin Gu looked back and threw out a sentence. Zhou Qianxiu nodded. Yes, this is not a chance that God gave me at all. God let me live until now because I am destined to be useful to you. Su Yun was stunned for a moment. Zhou Qianxiu actually said such a sentence. This was not his style. It must be like this. I couldn't believe it at first, but now I am more and more sure that I can live until now because of you. It is because I am useful to you. Zhou Qianxiu said, because I am useful to you, God let me live to atone for my sins. As long as I do what I have to do, I can die in peace. I don't know what to say when you think like this. Su Yun shook his head. Zhou Qianxiu said affirmatively, it must be like this. I must help you do what you need me to do. Then I will go find Zhuo Lengyue. In the face of such a decision without warning, the three people in the car were a little shocked. A person who cherished his life so much actually said such a thing. For so many years, I have been struggling in my heart. My life is originally God's punishment for me. Zhou Qianxiu said, if I can help you, if I can do something for you, my sins for so many years can be relieved. Then I can die in peace. Although I don't know Auntie Zhua, I dare say that with her temper, although it has been so many years, she will still kill you. Lin Gu was a little puzzled. You have escaped for so many years to live with the polar bear. Are you willing to die now? Zhou Qianxiu shook his head. No. Then why do you have to do this? Su Yun asked. It has been so many years. I believe she doesn't have the resentment of the past. As long as you continue to live in a quiet place, she should not take the initiative to find you again. I have had enough of such a life. Zhou Qianxiu said faintly, I don't know why I continue to pursue such a life. Such a life is definitely not what I want. I don't want it. I really don't want it at all. Perhaps after the redemption in a person's heart was liberated, they would have no more desires, no more desires, no more desires, no more desires, and no longer have anything to pursue. No one in the car spoke. After driving for a few minutes, Su Yun slowly spoke. If this is your own choice, we respect you. Su Yun said faintly, but I hope you think about it before making any choice. I can only say one thing. I will not pursue anything from you, but I can guarantee that Zhuo Lengyue will never let you go. Zhou Qianxiu nodded. I know. Of course, I know that Zhuo Lengyue will not let me go. He, now there is still someone who will not let me go. This is the motivation that has been supporting me to live. If everyone forgets me, I may not have any thoughts of living. Su Yun couldn't understand Zhou Qianxiu's inner world, and he didn't want to understand it. He didn't want to understand anything now. He only hoped that Zhou Qianxiu could perfectly replicate Lin Ji's face into the face of a legend. That was enough. Lin Gu and Gu Qia also expressed that they could not understand Zhou Qianxiu's thoughts. The car went all the way south. They could reach the customs of the two countries in less than 300 kilometers. Gu Chia called in advance and arranged for someone to go to the customs clearance to ease the relationship. It wouldn't take long for them to arrive in Seattle. They didn't even know what the situation was like in Seattle, and they were already gone for so many days. They didn't know if Tang Mi was getting impatient from waiting for them. A legend must have had enough of being under house arrest, but he had no other choice. Chapter 3866. Tang Mi, who had been waiting in Seattle for many days, was already irritated. She hadn't had a proper meal since yesterday, and her mind was full of messy things. Su Yun and the others hadn't returned yet. Tang Mi's mood was getting worse day by day. In addition, Gu Chia had arranged for the people in the circle to talk about some things, which made Tang Mi even more restless. It's been a week. Miss hasn't come back yet. Did something happen? The guy who was smoking was called Fat Head. He had a fierce face and looked very ferocious. However, he was actually quite gentle. Usually, he didn't use any vulgarities. On the other hand, Qin Meng, who looked the most refined, was the fiercest. Although he wore glasses and looked gentle, in reality, he was ruthless and merciless. The little finger of a legendary battle pet warrior was broken by Qin Meng. Qin Meng had done it without any warning. He did it without any mercy. He was absolutely ruthless. It was also because of Qin Meng that the legendary battle pet warriors were so afraid of him that they became much more obedient. Although a broken finger didn't look like much, it still hurt. It hurt as soon as he touched it. Every time Qin Meng asked Legend to do something, Qin Meng would kick Legend's broken little finger whenever Legend slowed down. Legend would cry out in pain every time. Big Bear Lake isn't a place anyone can go. It's too dangerous, Qin Meng said. I heard that some people in the army died there. Qin Meng glanced at Legend and pointed at the mineral water on the table. Legend didn't hesitate for a second and went to get it for Qin Meng. However, Qin Meng didn't take it. Instead, he took out a cigarette from the cigarette box and put it in his mouth. Legend quickly put the water in his arm and lit it for Qin Meng. Qin Meng took a puff and waved his hand. Legend put down the lighter carefully and was about to pass the water to Qin Meng again. Qin Meng still didn't take the water. Instead, he said to the others, "Did you see that? This guy is much more obedient than the first day. I've already said that this kind of person is asking for trouble. He needs to be taught a lesson. If you have nothing to do, you'll get better. Look at him. After his fingers were cut off, he can do anything. There's work in his eyes now." The legendary battle pet warrior nodded repeatedly after hearing Qin Meng's praise. His groveling appearance was ridiculous. "Don't go overboard," Fathead reminded him. After all, this guy was not captured by Gu Chia. He was someone else's. "Don't worry, I know what to do," Qin Meng said. The Legend of Legendary stood in front of Qin Meng in horror, not knowing if he should pass the water to him. "But do you know that this guy sometimes doesn't know how to respect others?" Qin Meng said. "You want to pass me a bottle of water that he had already put under his armpit? Don't you think his brain is a little unclear?" The legendary battle pet warrior was so scared that he quickly took the bottle back and gave Qin Meng a new one. Only then did Qin Meng take the water. "There's no need to lower yourself to his level." Fathead said to Qin Meng, "Who told you that someone from the army died at Big Bear Lake?" Qin Meng drank a mouthful of water. "Haven't you heard? The last time I went skiing at Big Bear Lake with a girl, I heard from someone there that a team went to the north of Big Bear Lake to do something. In the end, they never came back." "What team?" The person beside Qin Meng laughed. "Could it be the children's regiment? What do you think? It can't be the people from the rapid response team, right? If they were killed, it would be embarrassing." The rest of the people also laughed loudly. Fathead grinned. "If it's really the rapid response team, then it's really interesting. Canada's rapid response team was definitely one of the top combat teams in the world. It was said that they had the ability to reach any hotspot in the world within 48 hours and establish a command center. This rapid response team was formed by the combination of the Army, Navy, and Air Force. At least in terms of ability, they were close to the American Army's Rangers. Of course, compared to the Indian Black Cat Commandos, they are still a little lacking. Ha ha ha. The few of them laughed. Perhaps it was because Canada's Big Circle Gang and India's Indian Gang had always been competing for resources, so they more or less hated India. The Black Cat Commandos were actually quite powerful. It was said that all of them had unique skills. They knew difficult acrobatic moves such as breaking rocks with their chests and drilling fire rings. They could even lie on the ground and be run over by motorcycles without any injury. Anyway, all of them had the Golden Bell iron shirt. Of course, compared to the most powerful person in the universe, CEO Gene, who could shoot down a plane with a pistol, they were still lacking. Alright, I'm not kidding. It's really the rapid response team. That's why Big Bear Lake is very dangerous. Qin Meng said, maybe Missy and the rest are really in trouble. Fathead frowned. You can't just say that. Of course I won't say that. Do you think I want to say that? I'm just worried. I'm also afraid that something will happen to Missy. If that's the case, I'll definitely be very sad. Qin Meng said, but you all know Missy's temper. She definitely won't listen to anything we say. She has always insisted on herself. If not, I would definitely think of a way to persuade her. Why didn't you say that earlier? If you had told her that something happened over there, she would have considered it more. Fathead was a little angry. What do you mean, Fathead? Are you blaming me? Qin Meng was also unhappy. Don't you King understand Missy's temper? Would she listen to me if I said that? She would definitely scold me for starting a rumor. She would say that I don't know where I heard it from. Isn't that just a rumor? Fathead said again. Yes, that's just a rumor. Qin Meng said, are you happy now that I said that? I don't have time to quarrel with you. Everyone is thinking about Missy's comfort. Why are you quarreling with me? Fathead waved his hand. Qin Meng extinguished his cigarette. You're blaming me? I'm just chatting with you. Fathead, what do you mean? Are you unhappy? We are brothers. If you have something to say about me, just say it. Don't find fault with me. Find fault with me. Although Fathead had a good temper, it didn't mean that he could tolerate everything. Qin Meng, you better King say it clearly. Who are you scolding? CKU. Qin Meng slapped the sofa and stood up. His temper was very hot. This was something that legends knew very well. Why? You want to fight with me? Sure, come on. Why don't we go down and have some fun? I don't King want to spoil your bad habits. Fathead waved his hand. Let's go. Then let's go and have a try. Let's see who's spoiling who. Don't give me that. I won't fall for it. Qin Meng knew that he couldn't beat Fathead. In the past, it was always Fathead who softened up first and then they would reconcile. He didn't think that Fathead wouldn't go easy on him this time. Fathead spat. Qin Meng, let me tell you. You're a coward. You think I didn't dare to fight with you before? That's because I'm tolerant. Don't give me face. Qin Meng didn't want to lose face in front of so many people. Who are you talking about? Who's giving you face? Let's go. If you want to fight, then let's fight. You really think I'm afraid of your fat? Let's see if your heavy fists are stronger or if my feet are nimble. Whether you can hit me or not is a problem. Seeing that the two were about to fight, the others came forward to stop them. After all, they were all brothers. Now that they had a mission to complete, how could they fight among themselves? Can you all be quiet? Tang Mi suddenly became angry. It's annoying enough to hear you all bicker every day. Now you're arguing about such meaningless things. Is there any meaning to it? If you don't want to stay, then get out. No one is forcing you to stay. The few people were a little confused by Tang Mi's outburst. What was this kid trying to do? Was he trying to rebel? Did he really think he was a big shot? Chapter 3867. You have no right to speak here. Qin Meng glared at Tang Mi. Who do you think you are? Miss Gu has already allowed me to join the Big Circle Gang. I'm also a member of the Big Circle Gang. You're fighting amongst yourselves, so of course I'm going to interfere. Tang Mi wasn't to be outdone. If I let you guys go on like this, it'll be disgraceful. Fathead admired the kid. He was so young, but he didn't hold back at all. Glaring at someone like that wasn't something an average person could do. I'll teach you a fucking lesson first, you little bastard. Qin Meng stepped forward and shoved Tang Mi aside. Tang Mi took a few steps back and fell on her butt. She was stunned. This guy was so big, but he hit her like that. Qin Meng didn't give Tang Mi any face. Let me tell you, if you want to join the big circle, you have to learn to respect your elders. Don't fucking offend your superiors. Tang Mi wasn't going to fall for that. She dodged Qin Meng's punches and kicks. I want to join the Big Circle Gang, not the Korean gang. Even if you're older than me, you'd better give me a reasonable explanation for hitting me. Otherwise I won't tolerate you. Tang Mi dodged quickly, but Qin Meng's kick still caught her in the waist. She stumbled and fell in front of Legend. Legend clutched his head, not daring to say a word. He was in a state of confusion. Qin Meng, are you done? Fathead stepped forward and grabbed Qin Meng. What are you doing to a kid? You're a disgrace to the Big Circle Gang. I'm a disgrace. Qin Meng sneered. You say I'm a disgrace? Fathead, you have the nerve to say that. I've been taught a lesson by a kid. If I don't teach him a lesson, then I'll be a disgrace. Fathead frowned. You really don't want to stop? Qin Meng's fist was in Fathead's grip. He couldn't pull it back or swing it. His expression was awkward. Fathead, do you really want to go against me today? I don't have the energy to go against you. You're the one who was so rash today. It was as if he had eaten dynamite. He wanted to bite whoever he caught. Fathead said, You broke that guy's fingers, did you know that? Qin Meng said, So what if I broke it? That guy was full of himself. What's wrong with me teaching him a lesson? Young mistress and the others are back. If they don't want to see this result, how do you plan to explain it? Fathead glared. Explain what? Just say that he accidentally touched it. What else could he do? Ask him yourself if he dares to sue me. Qin Meng tried his best to pull his hand back, but Fathead still held onto him tightly, not giving him any chance at all. Fathead was about to die from anger. You're not going to explain? He doesn't dare to sue you? Don't tell me Mr. Su won't ask. F***ck Mr. Su. Whether or not he could come back was still a question. Why am I thinking so much about him? I must be crazy. Qin Meng said impatiently, Fatty, I'm warning you. You better let go of me. Don't wait for me to get angry before you let go. Fathead shook his head helplessly. You're hopeless. Then what do you think we should do? Qin Meng said. We've been waiting for a few days now, and there's been no news at all. If something really happened to the young mistress, have you thought about what would happen to us? How would we explain this to Mr. Gu? We know this. If he doesn't know where the young mistress went, he'll put all the blame on us. Haven't you all figured it out yet? Tang Mi lost her temper. You're talking nonsense. They'll definitely come back. Nothing will happen to them. Don't F***king think your naivety and ignorance is a reason to let your imagination run wild. Qin Meng roared at her. Fathead could understand Qin Meng's stress, but he didn't expect it to be this much. Brother, you're overthinking it. Really? Fathead slowly let go of Qin Meng's wrist. How about this, brother? Let's not talk about these useless things. You should relax. Tonight, let's buy some mutton, some vegetables, and have a hot pot. Have a drink or two and relax. I know you're under a lot of pressure and need to relax. Since Fathead had given him a way out, Qin Meng didn't say anything else. He lowered his fist and nodded. Brother, it was my fault. I was too impulsive. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, okay? Fathead laughed. How about this? I'll take someone to buy the ingredients for the hot pot. Tell me what you want to eat. Tell me what you want to drink. I'll get it for you. Qin Meng shook his head. I'll go. I should apologize to everyone today. I'll treat everyone to hot pot. Qin Meng smiled at Tang Mi. Little brother, we're all on the same side now. Sometimes I can be a little too impulsive. I hope you don't mind. If there's anything unpleasant about what I said before, please don't take it to heart, okay? Tang Mi nodded. She didn't want their relationship to be strained. Brother, I also want to apologize. I shouldn't have targeted you. Qin Meng actually apologized to Legend. If you think I'm sincere, then forgive me. Can we have some white wine? Let's all drink tonight. I'll give you a toast as an apology. Of course, the Legend was willing to do so. He really wanted to get drunk. Once he was drunk, nothing would bother him anymore. I know I've done a lot of things wrong. Please forgive me. I'll go first. Qin Meng got up and headed for the supermarket. I'll go with you, Fathead said. It's not convenient to carry things alone. Qin Meng turned back and pressed Fathead down. It's just a few things. I can handle it myself. This is the most important place. You guys keep an eye on it. If something goes wrong, we won't be able to explain it to Miss Tang. Fathead thought about it and agreed. He could handle the shopping himself. All he had to do was carry a few more bags. There was plenty of space in the car. Then you go by yourself. Get more meat. Oh, and also, let's drink some of Hua Xia's white wine. Even the cheapest Erguo is fine. I'm craving white wine right now. All right. Don't worry, leave it to me. Qin Meng nodded. I'll definitely get you some white wine. No problem. Then I'll have to trouble you today. Fathead smiled. After Qin Meng left, he turned to Tang Mi. Qin Meng's always like this. He's a little irritable, but he doesn't have any major flaws. You'll get used to it. Tang Mi nodded. If you can join the big circle in the future, you'll meet all kinds of people, Fathead said. Fathead said, that's why you need to learn to adapt as soon as possible. Don't mind me nagging. No one in this world will be able to adapt to you. No one, not even your parents, not even your relatives. Everyone needs to adapt to each other, and it's even more so for people in society. If you want to be above everyone else, then you need to adapt to others. Don't expect others to adapt to you. Tang Mi didn't understand. She didn't have parents. She didn't know what it felt like to be adapted to. In short, those who can't adapt to others will always be losers. Fathead said, a child who can't adapt to his parents isn't a good child. A parent who can't adapt to a child isn't a good parent. A brother who can't adapt to his brothers isn't a good brother. A person who can't adapt to society isn't a good person. I understand. Tang Mi said. Fathead laughed. I'm not very educated. What I said may not make sense. It's just my personal opinion. If you don't think it makes sense, then take it as a joke. Ahahaha. Tang Mi couldn't help but laugh. Fathead was a good person who made her feel warm and comfortable. Tang Mi liked him very much. Legend didn't think Fathead was very educated, but he didn't dare say anything. He just squatted in the corner, despising people who didn't go to school. But if you really asked him to talk about the principles of life, he couldn't. He had never felt the pressure of survival, so he couldn't understand the principles of life. The road of life needed to be climbed. Once you were born at the top, there was no meaning in life. Chapter 3868. About an hour later, Qin Meng came back with big and small bags. A few people came forward to help him carry the things. Qin Meng was quite excited. I actually bought copper hot pot and charcoal. It seems that there are quite a lot of Chinese people in Seattle. When Fathead heard that there was a copper hot pot, he was elated. He was from Yenjing, and his favorite dish was this old hot pot. He put the lit charcoal into the stove, and the hot pot soup bubbled up. Just smelling it was enough to make people drool. Come, come, come. Help me pack up. Fathead asked everyone to get ready. He suddenly saw a box of Qingdao beer and couldn't help but ask, "Is it because we can't buy white wine here?" In the United States, Qingdao beer was sold in many supermarkets and shopping malls. After all, Qingdao beer was a world-class brand. Of course, the export-grade beer might be mellower than the domestic beer. Anyway, more and more domestic beer was as thin as water. When a glass was filled to the brim, there wasn't even 1/5 of the foam. It wasn't mellow enough. At first, I also thought that we couldn't buy white wine here, so I got a box of beer. Qin Meng said, but I found it later. Although the United States didn't have white wine in the market, its market share was very small. This was because the United States had very strict alcohol regulations. It wasn't easy to import it. Also, there was a big difference between the alcohol culture of the United States and Huaxia. Unlike Huaxia, the United States didn't have thousands of years of deep alcohol culture. They didn't know what it meant to drink with a bosom friend. Therefore, the United States didn't drink strong alcohol. They said that those with strong alcohol couldn't drink alcohol, or that they drank fake alcohol. Foreigners found it unbelievable that Huaxia people could drink strong alcohol with 52 or 63% alcohol content. In fact, most of the foreign wines were not as strong as white wine. People who drank white wine knew that the higher the alcohol content, the more mellow it was. People who liked to drink would like alcohol with more than 52% alcohol content. How many foreign wines with more than 52% alcohol content were there? It could be counted with one's fingers. No one could deny that every liquor factory in Huaxia had a production line for high-quality liquor. Speaking of foreign wine, those who had a strong aftertaste were definitely people who had not drunk much foreign wine. At most, they had drunk the 4 most famous fake foreign wines in Huaxia's nightclubs in bars. The number 1 fake foreign wine in all kinds of nightclubs was definitely Chivas 12. Those who had been to the nightclubs had all drunk this kind of wine. A bottle of Scotch whiskey that was originally only worth 100 yuan had a sudden turnaround in the bar. Its price had soared by 3 to 5 times. Although this wine had always been the favorite of the major bars, it was also the most fake foreign wine in the bars. It could even be said that many bars couldn't even find a real bottle. Many bar owners didn't even know if the wine they sold was real or fake. One had to know that this kind of Scotch whiskey had been aged in oak barrels for more than 12 years and had been carefully mixed by generations of chief bartenders. This was why it had a rich and mellow, rich and smooth, delicate taste. On the other hand, fake wine could only be felt spicy and had a strong, pungent smell. In fact, it was easy to distinguish the taste of the wine. Fake foreign wines were mixed through coloring. Drinking too much of it could easily cause pigment poisoning. In serious cases, it could even cause kidney failure and be life-threatening. Think about it. How big was Scotland? It needed to be aged for 12 years. How many people in Huaxia went to bars? If it was made in one night, it was estimated that Scotland's wine production for a year would be finished in one night. So, could this all be real wine? People with brains should think about it carefully and drink less fake wine in the future. Anyway, drinking foreign wine in nightclubs liked to mix drinks. If it was fake, then it was fake. It did not matter. There was also the Remy Martin Special Champagne Cognac. In bars, people who felt that drinking Chivas was a loss of face liked this kind of $1,000 wine. In fact, this wine was only 300 yuan per bottle in the shopping mall. It was not that awesome, but it was just that the nightclubs were selling it more expensive. This kind of wine in bars, after opening it and taking a sip, would taste bitter and hard to swallow. The reason was that it was fake. The real wine was full of oak and champagne taste. It was slightly spicy with a touch of cognac taste. It was very delicious. There was no need to mix it with drinks. Many nightclubs would give away soft drinks for free. The purpose was to let people mix it with alcohol and not feel the taste of the fake wine. If you went home and bought a bottle of black tea and mixed it with alcohol, it would taste the same. It was real. There was also the Hennessy VSOP Cognac. The Hennessy series of foreign wine had always been popular in Huaxia. It had always been the leading foreign wine in the Cognac series. However, even so, it could not escape the evil hands of counterfeiters. The Hennessy VSOP was a classic that had been destroyed by counterfeiters. Then there was the Remy Martin Special Champagne Cognac. This wine was the representative of the fake foreign wine. Because of the high-quality counterfeits, whether it was tasting or on the outside, one could not tell whether it was real or fake. All in all, these 4 kinds of wine in bars were most likely fake. It was better to drink less. There were a lot of fake foreign wines in China, and there were also a lot of fake white wines abroad. This was definitely proportional. After all, fake white wines were easier to make. They could be made by mixing water and alcohol, and there was no need for coloring. Qin Meng took the white wine he bought in front of Fat Head. Fat Head was a little worried. Can this be bought for real? What if it is all fake? I heard that it is not easy to buy white wine in the American Empire. At first, I also thought that it would not be easy to buy it. But I saw a liquor store called Newport Spirits, so I went in to take a look. Qin Meng said, when I went in, I was shocked. There were all kinds of Huaxia white wines on the shelves. There were high-grade ones like Maotai, Wuliangye, Luzhou Laojiao, etc. There were also mid-grade ones like Erguotu. There was really a lot of variety. Moreover, the prices were not expensive. I even suspected that it was actually cheaper than in China. Fathead held the white wine in his hand and could not put it down. He liked Luzhou Laojiao. The taste was softer. Although Erguotu was also good, it was slightly spicier than Laojiao. Look at this. I even found Kong Fujia. Qin Meng took out 2 bottles of Kong Fujia. Come, try it. Why did you buy this stuff? Fathead could not help but frown. Qin Meng was stunned. Isn't Kong Fujia good? Although it is not as good as it used to be, it should not be too bad, right? I don't know if this wine is good or not, but its old advertising slogan makes people feel uncomfortable. Kong Fujia's wine makes people feel homesick. How uncomfortable would it be for us to drink it? Fathead said. He had not been home for many years. Yes, I did not think too much, Qin Meng said. Although Fathead said that, he still took the bottle of wine that made him feel homesick just by looking at it. He didn't care if it tasted good or not, but because it made him feel homesick, he had no choice but to drink another glass of Kong House. Let's bring some back for Mr. Gu when we go back? Fathead said. Qin Meng nodded. Sure. The few of them quickly prepared the ingredients for the hot pot and began to cook. Everyone toasted each other, drinking and chatting merrily. It was a joyous and harmonious atmosphere. Even legendary battle pet warriors were invited in. Qin Meng poured each of them a full glass of wine. By the time he and legendary battle pet warriors arrived, the 2 bottles of wine were already empty. There's no more of this wine? Fathead was stunned. Qin Meng nodded. So be it. I don't have a home to miss anyway. If you miss home, you can drink. I'll drink this. Then, he grabbed a bottle of Erguotu and handed it to Legend. Don't mind it. How about this? It's the same. Or you can drink Luzhou Laojiao. Drink whatever you like. Legend did not dare to say no. Qin Meng had already given him a lot of face by inviting him to the table for hot pot. He was fine with anything. Qin Meng opened a bottle of Erguotu for himself. I like Erguotu. Come, let's drink. No matter what led us to know each other, we have stayed together for so many days. It is a kind of fate. Come, let's drink. The huge glass of wine was emptied in a gulp. The others also raised their glasses and drank. At times like this, everyone was in high spirits and drank happily. The aroma of the mutton pot filled the air. Everyone ate happily. Chapter 3869. After 3 rounds of toasts, even those who were normally good drinkers felt like they couldn't take it anymore. Tang Mi was the first to collapse on the table. However, Tang Mi was the one who drank the least among them. After drinking that cup, he didn't drink anything else. He was afraid that he would get drunk. Qin Meng's lips curled into a smile when Fat Head laid down on the table. There was another person who hadn't laid down yet, and that was a legend. The legend was surprised. He didn't think anyone drank that much. They were all the same. This amount of alcohol shouldn't be a problem for them. The legend couldn't help but fantasize. If Qin Meng drank too much, wouldn't he have a chance to escape? At that time, they would all be drunk, and who would care about him? As long as he could escape and contact the meat shield, the legend's journey would be over. Brother Qin, I'll give you a toast. The legend raised his glass and smiled at Qin Meng. As long as he got Qin Meng drunk, everything would be over. However, Qin Meng grabbed the legend's glass and gestured for him to put it down. The legend's hope was extinguished. It seemed that Qin Meng was still sober. He knew he couldn't drink anymore. No one was watching him. However, Qin Meng's words reignited the legend's hope. Do you know why we're the only ones who didn't drink the Kong House? The legend of legendary battle pet warrior was dumbfounded. Because I did something to the 2 bottles. Qin Meng looked at the people who had fainted. How else do you think they would get drunk so quickly with their alcohol tolerance? That's impossible. The legend's heart was thumping. He wanted to ask Qin Meng why he did this, but he didn't dare to. After all, Qin Meng's attitude towards him a few days ago was too fierce. The legend still had a lingering fear in his heart. Qin Meng put down his glass. I'm sorry for what happened a few days ago. I had my reasons for treating you like that. I broke your finger so that others would think I was cruel to you. The legend looked at Qin Meng nervously. Brother. Then, what do you mean? You're a smart man. Can't you see that I wanted to save you? The legend said. They're all unconscious now. It's just the 2 of us. Brother. If you are willing to let me go, I will be very grateful to you. The legendary warrior nodded and bowed to Qin Meng, wishing he could give him a hug. Qin Meng motioned for him not to be too agitated. Of course I'm willing to let you go, but I definitely have conditions. You should know how much risk I have to take in order to let you go, right? Brother. Tell me, no matter what conditions you have, as long as you can say it, I will satisfy you. I promise I won't let you suffer any losses. Qin Meng smiled. On the first day, you told us that as long as we were willing to let you go, you would give each of us $10 million. The legend of legend nodded. He looked at Qin Meng with some fear. That day, after he said those words, Qin Meng kicked him so hard that he almost threw up his intestines. Including this kid, we have a total of 6 people here. Qin Meng said, You said that you were willing to pay $60 million for your freedom. You should know that. The legendary warrior nodded. I did say that. But. I hit you that day because things had not progressed to this stage. Qin Meng said. How many days have they been at Big Bear Lake? Whether they can come back is a problem. I don't want to be dragged down because of this. The legendary warrior was stunned. You really think they won't come back? Do you want them to? Qin Meng asked. The legendary warrior shook his head. Of course not. As long as Su Yun and the others did not come back, he would be free. So it seems that your wish has come true. Qin Meng said, If they don't come back, then you are of no use to us. You might even be a problem. And if something happens to the young lady at Big Bear Lake, Mr. Gu will blame us for not telling him in advance. We will be in trouble. So, the legendary warrior swallowed. So, if I agree to your promise and give me the money, I'm willing to let you go. Then, I can take the money and go to a place where Mr. Gu can't find me. Qin Meng said, This is definitely a win-win situation for both of us. The legendary warrior's eyes lit up. Of course. 10 million, I won't shortchange you a single cent. As long as you are willing to let me go. 10 million. Qin Meng looked unhappy. The legendary warrior was stunned. No, no. I will give you the money of all 6 people. I will give you 60 million. 60 million is all yours. As long as you are willing to let me go, I will give it all to you. Really, if I say even half a lie, I'll be struck by lightning. I will die a horrible death. Qin Meng's face broke into a smile. $60 million was enough for him to live a carefree life in any city in the world. As long as you are willing to give me the money, I can guarantee that you will leave this place. Qin Meng smiled. They are all asleep now. I can take you away any time. Let me go now. I will prepare the money for you as soon as I get back. I'll transfer 60 million to whichever account you want me to. The Legend of Legendary said seriously, I promise I won't owe you anything. Ha ha ha, you are just making promises. It means nothing to me. Qin Meng said. I want to see the money first. Then I will let you go. See the money first. The Legend of Legendary Battle Pet Warrior paused for a moment. But I need time to prepare the money. When they wake up, I will not be able to leave. Brother, believe me, I will definitely not let you down. I promise, I will really give you 60 million. Qin Meng waved his hand impatiently. Don't give me that. I won't fall for it. I only want what belongs to me. Your guarantee is meaningless. But there is not enough time. The legendary warrior was helpless. I will take you away now. I will take you to a place where they will not find you. Qin Meng said. When we get there, you can contact your family or friends to prepare the money for you. Once the money is in my account, I will let you go. Before that, you will be locked up. No one can save you. The legendary warrior was stunned. You ate quite a lot for this meal. It should be enough for you to last for at least 3 days, right? You will be hungry for 3 days. If I do not see the money, I will not let you out. Qin Meng said, think about it and make a choice. If you can give me enough money in 3 days, I'll take you away now. The legendary warrior took a deep breath. No matter what, he had to leave this place first. Okay. I will get you the money in 3 days. The legendary warrior said. I will transfer the 60 million to your designated account. I swear. I promise. Don't worry. Qin Meng smiled. With $60 million, he really didn't know how to spend it. Trust me. I will not let you down. The legendary warrior was already calculating what he should sell to get the $60 million. If he could not find the money, he would ask his meat shield to sell him the shares of several companies. That way, he would be able to get the money quickly. Qin Meng pointed at the hot pot. Hurry up and eat more. You won't be able to eat much before the money is in your account. Don't blame me. I have no choice. I have to give you some motivation. Otherwise, you will not be able to get the money quickly. Yes. The legendary warrior did not dare to disobey Qin Meng. If Qin Meng was unhappy, he would be thrown out. He would not have a chance. He had to seize this opportunity. The legend gobbled up all the mutton and gulped down 2 bottles of mineral water. Qin Meng pointed at the water on the table. Take as much as you can. I will not prepare water for you. You will not die of thirst in 3 days. The legendary warrior quickly stuffed the remaining bottles of water into his pocket. He believed that although the 3 days were difficult, he would win if he could get through it. No, he did not need 3 days. If everything went well, he could get the money in 2 days. Then, he would only need to wait for 2 more days. Chapter 3870. Once Legend was done packing, Qin Meng prepared to leave with him. Qin Meng had drugged Kong Mansion's wine, enough for them to sleep for 7 to 8 hours. 7 to 8 hours was enough for Qin Meng to arrange everything and then come back to pretend to be asleep like them. If Legend escaped, it would no longer be his problem alone. Plus, with his attitude towards Legend, no one would believe that he would let him go. Who could come up with such a perfect plan? Qin Meng couldn't help but feel smug. His plan had saved him 10 lifetimes of hard work. Who could earn 60 million in a few days? Even the superstars of the American professional basketball team would have to play for 2 years to earn that much money. The more Qin Meng thought about it, the happier he felt. He walked out with Legend. However, as soon as they walked out, a huge Ford pickup truck drove towards them. The headlights were dazzling. Qin Meng's mind went blank. He recognized the car. It's over. The legend of 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 the he wanted to curse in his heart. Why was he so unlucky? He finally had the chance, but Su Yun and the others came back at this time. Why did they come back at this time? Why didn't they come back earlier? If they had come back earlier, he wouldn't have had such hope. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. He would rather not have such hope than to be beaten to death the moment he had hope. This feeling was worse than death. The moment the legendary battle pet warrior ran out, Qin Meng quickened his pace and chased after him like a hungry wolf chasing a rabbit. Because the legendary battle pet warrior had eaten too much, he couldn't run fast enough. His stomach hurt as soon as he sped up. Su Yun and the others opened the door and jumped out. They looked at the two running men in surprise. Qin Meng pounced on Legend like a hungry tiger and slammed him to the ground. He shouted, "You're quite cunning. How dare you drug us? Today, I'll break your legs. Let's see if you still dare to run." The legendary battle pet warrior's mind went blank. This son of a bitch changed his mind too quickly. "If you dare to spout nonsense, I will stab you to death," Qin Meng threatened in a low voice. Only then did the legend come back to his senses. He knew that he wouldn't be able to escape. "I've just taught you a lesson and you still don't know how to repent. You actually used such a despicable method to escape." Qin Meng raised his voice again. "If I hadn't been careful today, I would have let you escape. It was you. The legendary battle pet warrior really hated this guy. "You what?" Qin Meng glared. "Who do you think you can fool with your little tricks? Playing dirty tricks on us." The legend knew that he wouldn't be able to defend himself. Who would believe him at this time? Everyone knew that he was the one who wanted to escape. Therefore, he was the one to blame for everything. No one would doubt that he was the one who plotted against them. Lin Ge quickened his pace and looked at the legendary battle pet warrior who had been pounced on. Qin Meng interrupted. "This guy wants to escape. When we were eating hot pot, he said that he would serve us and pour wine for us. In the end, this guy drugged our wine and knocked us out. Then, he tried to run away. Luckily, I was smart and didn't drink the wine he poured for me." "So you're saying that if it weren't for a smart person like you, they would all be crippled today?" Lin Ge frowned. Qin Meng nodded vigorously. "Yes. If it wasn't for me, this guy would have escaped. We wouldn't have been able to catch him. The American Empire is so big. It's not easy to find him." Gu Chia came forward. Qin Meng explained to Gu Chia again. Gu Chia couldn't help but frown. When they came back, Gu Chia's face turned ugly when she saw the unconscious people. These people were still in the mood to drink at this time. Qin Meng was good at reading people's faces. He quickly explained, "Miss, I'm sorry. We know that we shouldn't drink at this time. It's so dangerous outside. We shouldn't drink here. But please listen to me. We didn't want to do this." "You didn't want to do this? Then what do you want?" Gu Chia was angry. "We were really worried about you. That's why we were so depressed. Miss, you were gone for so many days. We were really scared." Qin Meng couldn't help but sigh. "We are really depressed. Our brothers are feeling very uncomfortable, so we wanted to drink some wine to ease the tension. We didn't plan to drink too much, really. Young miss, please understand our brothers. After waiting for so many days, we are really worried." Hearing Qin Meng's words, Gu Chia couldn't be angry anymore. Qin Meng was right, this was indeed the case. The legendary battle pet warrior admired this guy's acting skills. He actually made Gu Chia believe him. It's normal to be away for so many days. You don't have to worry, Su Yun said. Fortunately, nothing happened this time. Gu Chia looked at Su Yun, embarrassed. She didn't know how to answer to Su Yun if this matter was really caused. Lin Ge had been staring at Qin Meng. When they went to clean up, Lin Ge whispered to Su Yun, "Brother, this guy said that the legendary battle pet warrior drugged them." "I don't understand. Where did he get the drug? This doesn't make sense." "You don't really think that the legendary battle pet warrior drugged them, do you?" Su Yun looked at Lin Ge. Lin Ge was stunned. So it was Qin Meng who wanted to play the embezzlement game. He even put the blame on the legendary battle pet warrior. Lin Ge, who had a bad temper, wanted to argue with Qin Meng, but Su Yun stopped him. "Brother, are we just going to turn a blind eye to this guy's tricks?" Lin Ge said, "For someone like him to gain Miss Gu's trust, he must be very cunning. We should find someone like him." Su Yun smiled. "We can't let this kind of person stay by Gu Chia's side. But we need to talk to Gu Chia about this first." Lin Ge nodded. "After all, he's Gu Chia's man. If we directly tear them apart, it would be disrespectful to Gu Chia." Su Yun continued, "So, it's better for us to let her decide how to deal with it." "Should I call Miss Gu over now?" Lin Ge asked. Su Yun shook his head. "No need. Let's wait for a while. She's tired. Let her rest for a while. She'll be fine after a while. Keep an eye on that guy. Don't let him run away." "Okay." Lin Ge nodded. Legend sat in the corner with his head down. He knew that his fate was difficult to change. Su Yun walked to Legend. "How have you been these days?" Legend looked up at Su Yun and pointed bitterly to Jochen Xiu, who was resting not far away. "Is this the master of disguise you found? When are you going to let him do it?" "Don't worry. We are all very tired. He needs to rest and adjust before he can do anything." "Su Yun, I'm worried about you now. You must be very upset after being slandered." Legend was stunned. "You know? You don't doubt me?" "I want to doubt you, but you don't look like a person who can get the medicine at all." Su Yun, "So his lie is a bit too fake. Even if you doubt me, I don't care. Anyway, you used me and killed me in the end. I don't have a good end. I don't care. I really don't care." Legend shook his head. "You don't blame him for slandering you?" Su Yun said. Legend nodded. "What's there to blame? I was angry at first, but now I think about it. He gave me something to look forward to at the end and made me really happy for a while. I'm already very grateful to him. There's nothing to be angry about. Everything doesn't matter to me." "It's good that you think so." Su Yun patted Legend's shoulder and said, "I think the gift he gave you is not bad. I hope it's what you want the most right now. But what I want to say is, if you had cooperated with us from the beginning, we wouldn't have had so much trouble." Chapter 3871. The Legend smiled bitterly. "Cooperate from the beginning? Hee hee. I wanted to cooperate with you from the beginning, but who doesn't have desires? When the opportunity is right in front of them, how many people can resist it? But it's too late now. You don't have the chance anymore, do you? Even if it's not too late, do you think I'll still trust someone who betrayed me?" Su Yun said, "In fact, I didn't trust you from the beginning, but I still chose to give you a chance. It's a pity that you didn't seize it." The Legend shook his head. He didn't want to say anything else. There was nothing else to say. "Since you're here, you're an American. I won't torture you. You don't deserve to die." Su Yun said, "I'll let you go when this is over. You don't have to worry about that. Nobody will kill you." The Legend chuckled. "Let me go? Do you think that's the best result for me? The most precious thing for a human being is freedom." Su Yun said, "You haven't tasted the feeling of losing your freedom. Don't you think losing your freedom is the most terrible thing? The legend smiled. Yes. For many people, freedom is the most important thing. They'd rather give up everything for freedom. But I'm different. You're not a human being. Of course I'm a human being. But I'm not most people. I know very well what kind of person I am. The legend said, "You gave me freedom and then took away everything that belonged to me. What do I need freedom for? I have nothing. What do I need freedom for?" Su Yun shook his head. The legend was hopeless. Without freedom, what can you do even if you have more? Besides, I want to ask you, do these things belong to you? They don't belong to you at all. They don't belong to you at all. You want too much. The legend was speechless. He just kept shaking his head. He couldn't believe that all this was going to happen. He couldn't believe that he was going to lose everything. Boss Su, I really don't understand. Why are you doing all this? You don't lack anything. And you don't intend to take everything for yourself. Why are you doing this? If everyone was as selfish as your heirs and only cared about themselves, what do you think Huaxia would be like today? Su Yun suddenly asked. The legend of legendary battle pet warrior was stunned. He didn't know what would happen to Huaxia. Unimaginable. Su Yun. It's because there are thousands of people in Huaxia who know how to sacrifice for the country that Huaxia hasn't been destroyed by you bunch of parasites. Do you understand now? The legend still couldn't understand. He didn't understand everything at all. I really want to know why you're doing this. The legend shook his head. Every man for himself. Haven't you heard of such a simple logic? Every man for himself, and the country will not be a country. Su Yun, there are many countries in this world with tragic fates. Why are they tragic? It's all because they are too selfish. Everyone is selfish and doesn't care about the country. The legend shook his head. Do you really think that the country can function normally if you consider it for the country? If you don't consider it for the country will be ruined? It doesn't matter if it's a person, but the key is that there are too many people like me in Huaxia who are willing to pay for the interests of the overall environment. Su Yun, if they are all like you, the country will be ruined. Hey, you are too great. I can't understand. I only know that I have nothing. I have nothing. The legend was a bit obsessed. You still have freedom. This is the most fortunate thing for you. Su Yun, if you weren't a citizen of the United States, I would really take you back and lock you up for 3 or 5 years so that you can understand the importance of freedom. The legend didn't understand, and he didn't want to understand. He just wanted to know when all this would end. Do you really think that he can replicate me on Lin Gu? The legend didn't believe it. Zhou Qinxiu was just a bad old man in his eyes. Him. No matter how I look at him, he looks like a savage living in no man's land. Su Yun nodded. You are right. He lives in no man's land. It's not wrong to say that he is a savage. His living environment is no different from that of savages. But you'd better remember that you can't judge a book by its cover. If you judge a book by its cover, then you are wrong. The legend raised his finger. Even my fingerprints can be replicated? Hey. I don't believe it. I don't think I will believe it. I don't know if it can be done. Su Yun, but even if it can't be done, we will find a way to solve it. Impossible. You can't solve it because many things require my fingerprints to solve. The legend provoked. It's just a copy of my face. I promise you will be frustrated. Su Yun shrugged his shoulders. Maybe when Mr. Zhou Lao has a good rest, he will tell me that he can also replicate your fingerprints. The legend laughed out loud. He felt that Su Yun was telling him a joke. This was simply impossible. Su Yun didn't say much. At this time, Gu Qia walked towards them. The people of the Big Circle Gang were awakened by her cold water. They were angry. Don't be angry with them. They should be tired after so many days. It's understandable that something happened. Su Yun smiled. Gu Qia said helplessly, this is because things were controlled in time. If Qin Meng didn't pay more attention, he would have run away today. If he ran away, how can I explain it to you? After all, I chose the people to watch over him. If they didn't do it well, it's all my fault. The legend sneered, "It's all your fault. It's the people you chose that made things so complicated." You still have the nerve to say that? Tell me what you were thinking, and where did you get the medicine? Gu Chia was furious at the sight of the legendary battle pet warrior. The legend didn't say anything. He didn't want to explain. Smart people could figure it out. Su Yun was one of those smart people. Even if the legend didn't say anything, Su Yun could see the truth. Explain it to me. If you don't explain it to me, it's not over. Gu Chia was very angry. What did I say? Can I say it? You don't even know where I'm going to get the medicine, so how can I figure it out? If I could get the medicine, do you think I would have waited here for so long? The legend said, if I had the medicine, I would have made them run away. Why would I wait until today? I just escaped and you caught me. The legend looked helpless. Gu Chia was stunned. She seemed to have understood something. Gu Chia glanced at Su Yun. Su Yun knew what she wanted to ask, so he smiled and nodded. That was how it was. He told Gu Chia that there was no need to suspect anything else. That was how it was. It's not him. Gu Chia sucked in a breath of cold air. This matter was actually like this. Everything was Qin Meng's doing. Qin Meng acted as if it had nothing to do with him. He wiped the faces of the people with towels and said that he cared about them. He kept saying that they shouldn't have drunk the wine poured by the legend. Fathead's head was groggy. He couldn't even remember who had poured the wine for him before he fainted. Maybe the legend didn't pour wine for them at all? Fat Guy had a headache. Whatever Qin Meng said was the truth. Plus, Miss Gu was here. They felt that it was all thanks to Qin Meng. Otherwise, they would have been dead. Fat Guy turned around and sighed. He knew that Miss Gu would definitely blame them. This was not a small matter, and it wasn't even Miss Gu's problem. They had almost messed up the matter involving Mr. Su. This mistake was really a little irreparable. Fathead secretly glanced at eldest Miss, only to find that Gu Chia, who had just walked past, was walking over angrily again. What did she say to Su Yun just now? Fathead was stunned for a moment. He was done for. Mr. Su must have blamed him, so the Missy was completely enraged. Chapter 3872. Gu Chia walked towards her men angrily with an ugly expression on her face. Although Fathead had a terrible headache, he was still the first to stand up. He immediately lowered his head and apologized. "I'm sorry, miss. It's all our fault. We shouldn't have been so greedy at this time. Otherwise, we wouldn't have given that guy a chance. I'm sorry, Mississippi. We know our mistakes. We hope you can forgive us and give us another chance. We won't do it again. We won't make the same mistake again." Everyone was very sincere in their apologies. Only Qin Meng didn't say anything. He placed himself in the position of a meritorious official. It was as if it wasn't for him today, the things that happened today would be unimaginable. Fathead also brought up this point. He was very serious about his mistakes. If it wasn't for Qin Meng today, we would have made a big mistake. Fortunately, Qin Meng was there to prevent a disaster from happening. Qin Meng smiled and waited for Gu Chia's praise. However, Gu Chia didn't pay attention to him at all. She didn't even look at him. "Who brought up the idea of drinking today?" Gu Chia asked expressionlessly. Fathead lowered his head awkwardly. "I'm sorry, Mississippi. It's me." "Who went out to buy the wine?" Gu Chia continued to ask. At this time, no one took the initiative to speak. Gu Chia also knew who it was. Qin Meng took a step forward awkwardly and finally admitted, "Miss, I was the one who went to buy the wine. I won't dare to do it again. It's me who suggested this idea. That's why he went to buy it." Fathead explained again, "Miss, All these mistakes were caused by me. I hope you don't blame them. Really, all of this has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with them at all. This was Fathead's character. Gu Chia knew that he was a loyal person. However, being loyal at this time was covering up a mistake. Did I allow you to speak? I already know that you're the one who suggested drinking. You'll be punished if you deserve it. Do you think I'll forgive you? Gu Chia roared angrily. Fathead lowered his head and didn't dare to speak again. He felt guilty. He felt that he had failed to live up to the young mistress's trust in him. This kind of guilt was indescribable. Qin Meng was also ashamed as he said, "Young miss, if you want to punish me, then punish me. If I didn't buy the wine, then this wouldn't have happened. Blame me for buying the wine for them, this is all my fault." Everyone felt that there was no need for Qin Meng to be like this. After all, he was the hero today. Of course, they also felt that the young miss would not go overboard with him. "Yes, the person who should be punished the most is you, because you bought the wine," Gu Chia said, "but there's something I don't understand. Fathead only asked you to buy wine. He didn't ask you to buy anything else, right? Other than hot pot ingredients and wine, why do you need to buy other things?" Qin Meng's face turned ugly. "Young miss, I don't know what you mean. Other than these, I didn't buy anything else," Qin Meng said. Gu Chia pointed at the legendary battle pet warrior and said, "You told everyone that he drugged the drinks. That's what everyone thought. But can you tell me where he got the drugs? Tell me, as long as you tell me, I'll believe that you didn't buy the drugs." Qin Meng's entire body stiffened. He really didn't have anything to explain. Fathead and the other brothers all widened their eyes. "Why didn't you and Legend get drunk?" Gu Chia said, "Tell me, did you not drink any of the wine?" Hearing this, Fathead instantly became angry. He stepped forward and grabbed Qin Meng's collar. "It's you?" Qin Meng shook his head. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Young miss, you must have misunderstood. There must be a misunderstanding." "What misunderstanding?" Fathead was angry. "We all drank the 2 bottles of Confugia. But when it was your turn, the wine was gone. You and that guy didn't drink Confugia. You drank Erguo too. Do you think I forgot?" Qin Meng shook his head. "No, it really wasn't me. Only you had time to do that. We were all there when you drank. No matter how capable this guy is, he couldn't have done this under our noses." Fathead said, "That's impossible." Gu Chia raised her hand and slapped Qin Meng's face. "I've already given you a chance to admit it. If you still refuse to admit it, then I'll let you test the residue in those 2 bottles of wine. If I find any other medicinal ingredients, you know what will happen to you." Qin Meng didn't dare to lie anymore. The Big Circle Gang had rules. Lying was a serious crime. "Young miss, I beg you to forgive me." Qin Meng fell to his knees. "I was confused. I really didn't want to betray you. I was really confused. I was wrong. I beg you, young Mississippi. You must forgive me. Really, I won't dare to do it again." Everyone was confused by Qin Meng's behavior. Fathead kicked him and said, "You actually gave us a bunch of random things. I was wondering why I was so dizzy after drinking a glass of wine. I'm sorry, brothers. I was wrong. I was possessed. It's all my fault." Qin Meng said, "It was that guy who tempted me. He said he would give me money. He was the one who kept instilling these thoughts in me. I was possessed." Legend sneered, "You're still slandering me at this time? Do you still need me to explain why you did this?" "Shut up. Don't talk nonsense." Qin Meng panicked and explained, "Young miss, Mr. Su, don't listen to him. He must be using this opportunity to say bad things about me and make you misunderstand me." Gu Chia said coldly, "Do I need to misunderstand you? Look at what you've done." Qin Meng knelt on the ground. "I was really possessed. I'm sorry, young miss. I'm sorry. The legendary battle pet warrior had had enough of the dirty water being poured on him. You're the one who thinks that they won't make it back. You're the one who says that the place is dangerous. You're the one who thinks that they're dead for sure. That's why you wanted to let me go and make money. You even asked for 60 million. Qin Meng wanted to pull out Legend's tongue. I did tempt you before. I said I would give you $10 million each to let me go. Legend said, you told me that you would let me go if I gave you $60 million. Qin Meng was furious. He strode forward and wanted to teach Legend a lesson. Unfortunately, Lin Gu stopped him. What are you doing? Don't you know that he's one of us? Let me tell you, we can teach him a lesson however we want. You can't even lay a finger on him. Let me go. Qin Meng glared at Lin Gu. He's the one who's talking nonsense. I can't let him continue talking nonsense and humiliate me. Is that so? Is he talking nonsense, or are you imagining things? Lin Gu sneered. Get out of my way. Don't make me angry. Legend said, he has already touched my finger. My little finger is broken. This guy has been torturing me for the past few days. Lin Gu turned Qin Meng over and pressed him down. Qin Meng cried out in pain. You're quite bold, aren't you? I remember we said before we left that we only need to keep an eye on him and don't torture him. Don't you have ears? Lin Gu said angrily. He needed to pretend to be the same as Legend, so he couldn't let Legend get hurt. If Legend got hurt, it would affect Zhou Qianxiu's work. Fortunately, Legend's face hadn't been beaten in the past 2 days, so it didn't have much impact. Otherwise, Lin Gu would really beat Qin Meng up. Qin Meng opened his mouth wide in pain and kept patting the ground to beg for mercy. Lin Gu kicked him out. People like you are not trustworthy. How did Miss Gu like you? You're despicable. Qin Meng was kicked by Lin Gu, but he didn't have any temper. He couldn't afford to offend Lin Gu. He could only beg Gu Chia to forgive him now. Chapter 3873. Miss, things aren't what you think. This is all a misunderstanding. Really, everything is just a misunderstanding. I beg you to listen to my explanation. It really isn't what you think it is. Qin Meng could only beg Gu Chia now. Gu Chia didn't give him any attention. On the other hand, Fat Head, who always had a good temper, was gnashing his teeth. He walked forward and slapped Qin Meng. Miss has always treated you well. You actually dare to play tricks on this kind of thing. Fat Head wanted to skin Qin Meng alive. Are you still human? I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Qin Meng said. Miss, please give me a chance. Gu Chia was still unmoved. It seems that I have been too good to you. Qin Meng, after you thought something happened to me at Big Bear Lake, you actually didn't think about how to confirm my situation. Instead, you thought about how to make the best choice for yourself at the last moment. Your choice is too beautiful. It's really too beautiful. After pausing for a moment, Gu Chia said to Fat Head, I don't want to see him again. Ask him to scram. Betrayers and betrayers are all punished according to the sect rules. Fat Head said. Miss, we have to bring him back and deal with him seriously. Gu Chia didn't say anything. Qin Meng knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Miss, you are a magnanimous person. I will never forget your magnanimity. Miss, you can't let him go. Why should you let this kind of person stay? Fat Head didn't understand Gu Chia's actions. Gu Chia actually wanted to let him go. Qin Meng wanted to leave, but he was pressed to the ground by Fat Head. Fatty Head, you and I are brothers. Just give me a chance and let me go. Big Miss is already magnanimous. Don't be calculative. Qin Meng hated that his strength was not as big as Fatty Head's. Otherwise, he would have already flipped Fatty Head over and escaped. Fat Head stared at Qin Meng. Shut up. You don't have the right to speak here. You bastard. I was blind in the past to treat you as a brother. If I knew you were this kind of person, I would have skinned you long ago. Gu Chia waved her hand. Fat head, ask him to scram. Let him perish on his own. Young miss, he broke the rules. If you let him go so easily, wouldn't you be unable to convince the others in front of your brothers? This was what Fat Head was worried about. If the people present felt that they could be let off even if they betrayed Miss, then who would take Gu Chia seriously in the future? Who would care about the rules? Gu Chia couldn't bear it because she felt that they had all risked their lives for the big circle gang. It would be too cruel to punish them just like that. Although Qin Meng had gone overboard this time, it wasn't as if he didn't contribute anything in the past. He had done many things for the big circle gang. He's more or less worked for the big circle gang, Gu Chia said calmly. This is unfair to him. Give him a chance to fend for himself. But what you're doing is breaking the rules. Fat Head said. Qin Meng wanted to scold Fat Head for being a busybody. Gu Chia had already spoken, but Fat Head still refused to let it go. It really made him angry and embarrassed. I think that's reasonable. Su Yun smiled and said to Gu Chia. The rules are the rules. If you break the rules, you'll just walk out safely. In the future, no one will take you, young Miss Gu, seriously. If you do that, Mr. Gu will be very angry. Gu Chia was stunned. She could still listen to Su Yun's words. Fat Head nodded vigorously. That was what he meant. Everything he considered was for Gu Chia's good. Gu Chia hadn't thought about this at all. If she had thought about it, she wouldn't have done it. Gu Chia naturally felt that Su Yun's suggestion was very reasonable, but she still couldn't bear to do it. The 5 people who were called by her to do this were obviously Gu Chia's trusted subordinates. It was normal that she couldn't bear to do it to her own people. However, from Su Yun's point of view, Fat Head was probably the only one who could be considered a trusted subordinate. Only Fat Head would think from Gu Chia's point of view. Moreover, he always thought about how Gu Chia's actions would affect Gu Chia. This is our big circle gang's business. An outsider like you has no right to interfere. Qin Meng panicked. He was most afraid that Su Yun would speak because he knew that Su Yun's influence on Gu Chia was too great. Qin Meng's panic made Gu Chia make up her mind. Qin Meng, you've done something against the rules. Even if you're leaving, you should leave something for yourself. This time, it was Qin Meng's turn to be stunned. He regretted shouting at Su Yun. If he hadn't flipped out at Su Yun, Gu Chia probably wouldn't have made up her mind to punish him so quickly. Missy, you can't do this. Qin Meng looked at Gu Chia with a pitiful face. Gu Chia didn't even look at him. Rules are rules. Do you want to do it yourself, or do I want Fat Head to do it? You choose. Qin Meng, Missy is already very kind to you. She just wants you to leave something behind and get lost. Fat Head said. Logically, a bastard like you should be taken back. Accept the 3 knives and 6 holes, and leave your life to fate. Missy is so kind to you, you should be content. Qin Meng still shook his head. No. I don't want to leave anything behind. Miss, I will obediently leave. I will fend for myself. I promise that you will never see me again. I beg you, don't let Fat Head do anything to me. I beg you. Gu Chia frowned and threw Fat Head a sentence. Don't waste time. I have a headache. I don't want to hear him speak. Fat Head nodded and pulled Qin Meng's head up. I'll ask you one last time. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want me to help you? Don't you King touch me. If you touch me again, I will fight you. Qin Meng was already anxious. At this time, Fat Head wouldn't give him any face. Fat Head knew that it was useless to say more. Missy had already spoken. She didn't want to hear Qin Meng speak anymore. As a subordinate, Fat Head should settle this matter properly. He waved his hand and the other 3 people came forward. At this time, Fat Head was the person Gu Chia trusted the most. Whatever he said, the others would do. Take him out of here. Since he can't do it himself, then as brothers, we will help him one last time. After helping him, we will break all ties. Fathead brought the other 3 people out. He wanted them to see what would happen if they failed to live up to Missy's trust. At this time, Gu Chia needed to establish her prestige as the Missy of the Big Circle. Gu Chia didn't care about this, but Fathead felt that it was necessary. Su Yun knew this better than Gu Chia. Su Yun knew that Fathead's actions were right. This was what he should do as a trusted subordinate. Don't do this to me. I beg you. Don't do this to me. Qin Meng could only beg now. Fathead and the others dragged him out without hesitation. At this time, no one cared about what Qin Meng was thinking. He had to be punished. No one could escape. This was what Fathead wanted everyone to see. Qin Meng was dragged out directly. Gu Chia kept frowning. As Qin Meng's screams grew louder, she looked at Su Yun uneasily. She wanted to ask Su Yun if this was the right thing to do, but she couldn't bring herself to ask. Although Gu Chia didn't say anything, Su Yun could guess what she wanted to ask from her eyes. He nodded at Gu Chia, telling her that there was nothing wrong with what she did and that this was how it should be. If she didn't do this time, there would still be betrayers in the future. After all, everyone had mouths under their noses. All of Gu Chia's actions would be spread through the mouths of the people present. Even if Gu Chia was the Missy of the Big Circle Gang, even if she was Gu Guolong's daughter, she still needed to establish her own prestige. These things couldn't be given by anyone, whether it was the love of her father or her brothers. Prestige was something that couldn't be given. She had to fight for it. Only when she established her own prestige could she truly convince the masses. Chapter 3874. Qin Meng's heart-wrenching screams came from outside the room. Fathead did not mean to be merciful and started directly. Gu Chia didn't want to ask what happened, nor did she want to know. What Qin Meng had become now had nothing to do with Gu Chia. Although Zhou Xiu had been resting with his eyes closed, he heard everything that happened here clearly. When things calmed down a little, Zhou Xiu slowly got up and said, "Girl, you and your father are really too far apart." Gu Chia was stunned. "Why do you say that?" "If it were your father, he would never be soft-hearted in the face of this kind of thing. He would solve it himself. Because he knows that this is what he should do. Why must it be like this to establish authority? Why can only be convinced in this way?" Gu Chia said, "There is an ancient saying in Huaxia that people should be convinced by virtue. I actually don't agree with some of my father's practices. I believe that people should be convinced by virtue. People should be convinced by virtue." He. Zhou Xiu smiled and said, "Meng Zi's words are indeed reasonable. I also admit that using virtue to convince people is a good way to attack their hearts. It is a good way to use softness to conquer strength, but I want to tell you that it depends on the person. Not everyone can accept it." Gu Chia was a little puzzled by Zhou Xiu's words. Zhou Xiu continued, "It is good to convince people with virtue, but it is not suitable for the environment of the Big Circle Gang. You should understand this now, right?" "I see." Gu Chia nodded. She understood what Zhou Xiu said. The environment she was in was originally an environment where the strong preyed on the weak. To be able to establish a foothold in the Big Circle Gang and let the Big Circle Gang establish a foothold in Canada, it needed people with fists. It was just impossible to convince people with virtue. Perhaps the Chinese could still understand what it meant to convince people with virtue, but the Third Brother's brothers would never listen to what it meant to convince people with virtue. The people of the Dark Angel would not listen to what it meant to convince people with virtue. So, it was not practical to convince people with virtue here. "I understand what you mean." Gu Chia nodded. "Sometimes you should be more resolute in doing things. I believe your father would like to see a more resolute you." Zhou Xiu smiled slightly. Gu Chia knew that Juqiangxiu was doing this for her own good. "Thank you, Uncle Zhou. I believe that the Big Circle Gang will do better under your leadership in the future." Zhou Xiu said, "You deal with many things more intelligently than your father. Many years ago, when you were very young, I saw that your father didn't know how to win people over with virtue at all. This is not easy to learn. But you understand. Since you were very young, you understood what it meant to win people over with virtue, so I believe that you know how to win people's hearts even better. But winning people over with virtue alone is not enough to manage a gang. You must abide by the rules your father set. Only by being clear about rewards and punishments can Big Circle Gang become more cohesive. You don't need to learn this, and you don't need to be wise. You just need to use it. You have your ability to win people over with virtue, and with your father's clear rules for rewards and punishments, it's perfect. Do you think this is really the right thing to do? Gu Chia felt that it made sense, but she still wanted to ask Su Yun's suggestion. Su Yun smiled slightly. In the eyes of outsiders, some things are really cruel, but if I were you, I would listen to Mr. Jiu Lao's advice. If you want to manage so many people, you must know how to study people's psychology. Attacking people's hearts could win people over, rules could establish authority, and clear rewards and punishments could make people more cohesive. Only by doing all of this to the extreme could you manage a team well. I understand. Gu Chia nodded. Simply put, you must be ruthless when it's time to be ruthless. Yes, this is the truth. If you are not ruthless, you will be incompatible with this environment. Everything here is not suitable for you. Lin Gu smiled. But then again, a girl is really not suitable for this kind of environment. But I have no choice. The Big Circle Gang can't be gone when it helps me. Gu Chia frowned. The Big Circle Gang must exist. If there is no Big Circle Gang, many Chinese people here will be bullied. Gu Chia had a headache when she thought of these more distant things. For Gu Chia, the Big Circle Gang was her everything. She had to find a way to protect it no matter what. However, she was a girl after all. She needed a successor. If possible, Gu Chia only wanted to have a child. She did not want to find her other half. There were too few men who could catch her eye. Where could she find such a rare existence? Although there was one in front of Gu Chia, a man like Su Yun was definitely not the kind of man who would be confined by the Big Circle Gang. This was the most contradictory point of Gu Chia. The man who could inherit the Big Circle Gang would not be so short-sighted. Su Yun was such a man. A Big Circle Gang was nothing to him. If possible, Gu Chia hoped to have a child with Su Yun. She did not have any other extravagant requests. She just wanted to have a successor. Gu Chia, who was thinking far away, suddenly came back to her senses. She looked at Su Yun and smiled embarrassedly. She really did not know why she suddenly thought of such a distant problem. These were not things she needed to consider at all. It was still early. However, Gu Chia also knew that her father must be very eager for her to find someone and give birth to an heir for him. This way, he could train the heir from a young age. It was a pity that Gu Chia did not consider this matter at all. Now, unless it was Su Yun, she would never accept her giving birth to a child for any man. The only one she could accept was Su Yun. She was even willing to do it. However, she also knew that this kind of request definitely couldn't be made to Su Yun. If she were to open her mouth, it would be too much. "What are you thinking? Why do you seem to be absent-minded?" asked Su Yun. Gu Chia blushed and shook her head quickly. No, I'm not thinking about anything. I just feel... Forget it. It's nothing. Don't ask more. Su Yun was confused. He wondered why Gu Chia blushed at this time. Although this shy look was cute, it was not suitable for this occasion, right? He really didn't understand what she was thinking. If Su Yun knew that she was thinking about how to have a child with him at this moment, Su Yun would probably blush. The messy things have been dealt with. Now let me see what's going on. Jochen Xiu said, "You worked so hard to bring me here. You didn't let me sleep. I should do something." "It's okay, Mr. Jiu Lao. We are not in a hurry now." Su Yun said, "This is not an urgent matter." Jochen Xiu sighed. "It will be New Year's Eve in 2 days. Aren't you in a hurry to deal with things and go home for the new year?" I'm afraid this grandson's matter can't be solved in 2 days. Lin Gu shrugged helplessly. After coming here, the delay was really too long. I'm afraid it's a problem whether we can go home for the new year. Gu Chia had forgotten the days these days. It turned out that New Year's Eve was in 2 days. Then you all go to my house. Gu Chia said, isn't it good for us to celebrate the new year together? Don't bother. You can say hello to old Gu for me. Su Yun said, although we are not in a hurry, we came out to do things. We are not here for a vacation. I'm afraid it's impossible to play for another 2 or 3 days. Although Gu Chia was a little lost, she still smiled and said it was okay. Then I don't want to waste time. Let me take a look now, and then I will tell you what I need. Zhou Qianxiu said, without tools and materials, it is impossible to solve the problem even if you have good craftsmanship. Okay, Mr. Zhou. If you need anything, just say it. I will definitely prepare it for you as soon as possible. Lin Gu said. Zhou Qianxiu pointed to Legend and said, let him come over and stand with you first. I will make a decision after I see the situation between the two of you. Although the Legend of Legendary was unwilling, he was still dragged over by Lin Gu. Chapter 3875. To be honest, Legend did not believe that the old man in front of him could turn Lin Gu into himself. But the old man gestured with his fingers on his face a few times, nodded frequently, and said something that Legend did not understand but felt was very professional. Nowadays, advanced facial recognition systems and fingerprint recognition systems were difficult to hack. But Zhou Qianxiu had already mentioned knowledge about facial contours, how to deceive the facial recognition system, and so on in his remarks. Zhou Qianxiu spoke clearly and logically, which made Legend feel uncertain. After all, this guy was known as the most powerful god in the field of disguise. After Zhou Qianxiu's calculations, the materials needed were also very clear. Gu Chia immediately ordered Fathead and others to prepare everything Zhou Qianxiu needed. Although Legend was flustered, he still did not believe that Zhou Qianxiu could copy his fingerprints. When Zhou Qianxiu took out Legend's finger and looked at it, Legend couldn't help but say, this is impossible. You don't have high-tech things. How can you copy my fingerprints? One must know that fingerprints were a form of proof that human activities were never wrong. It was said that a 4-month-old baby's skin already had lines. In fact, fingerprints began to be produced when the embryo was 4 months old, and began to form around 6 months old. After the baby was born, the lines would become thicker and the area would increase as the baby grew older. But the shape, structure, distribution range, and overall layout of the pattern were basically unchanged for life and had a high degree of stability. This was why various criminal investigation films could solve cases by relying on the fingerprints left by the suspect. Fingerprints could not escape. Human physiological characteristics included fingerprints, face shape, iris, hand shape, voice, and so on. Scientists concluded through comparison and research that it was far easier, more stable, and safer to authenticate identity through fingerprints than other physiological characteristics. Although cloning technology had reached a considerable level these days, legend had it that cloned people might not have the same fingerprints because each fingerprint had several unique and measurable characteristics. These characteristics ensured the uniqueness of the fingerprint. This also showed that two fingerprints might have the same overall characteristics, but their detailed characteristics could not be exactly the same. This was why legend did not believe in Zhou Qianxiu. Fingerprints are indeed the most difficult thing to replicate. Zhou Qianxiu smiled slightly. When it came to this, he was a professional. He knew more than legend. Every fingerprint has several unique and measurable feature points, and each feature point has about 5 to 7 features. Our 10 fingers produce at least 4,900 independently measurable features. The legend was stunned. This guy's words were too professional. Just like before, he was also confused, but his words were quite professional. Because the fingerprint lines are not continuous, smooth, and straight. Instead, there are often interruptions, bifurcations, or turns. These interruptions, bifurcations, and turns are called feature points. It is these characteristic points that provide the confirmation information of fingerprint uniqueness. Zhou Qianxiu continued. Su Yun and the others were also quite surprised. Zhou Qianxiu's expertise in copying others had far exceeded their expectations. Zhou Qianxiu hadn't finished yet. Among them, the most typical characteristic points are the end point and the branch point. In addition, there are also branch points, isolated points, ring points, short lines, and so on. The wide variety of fingerprints is enough to show that fingerprint identification is a more reliable way of identification. You know, twins that can't be distinguished by DNA identification can be distinguished by fingerprints. The legend said in surprise, That's so difficult. How can you replicate it? I never studied fingerprint replication a long time ago, but then I saw a news article, so I had a sudden idea in this regard. Zhou Qianxiu said, It is said that a school in Australia installed a set of fingerprint attendance machines to urge everyone to attend class in order to prevent students from skipping class. But there are policies and countermeasures. Some students came up with a way to fake fingerprints with soft candy in an attempt to deceive this high-tech system. It sounded quite reasonable. If a fingerprint was pressed on a soft candy, it could get an opposite fingerprint. Then, two soft candies were pressed repeatedly. It seemed that a fingerprint could be replicated. But the problem was that the lines on a piece of soft candy were already very unclear. It was estimated that it would be difficult to deceive the fingerprint machine the second time. In fact, this was the case. This way of forging fingerprints was very unreliable. But it also showed that it was not impossible to duplicate fingerprints. The imaginative students solved this matter. The soft candy is unreliable, but the gel can be used. Zhou Qianxiu smiled. The gel was one of the ingredients in the soft candy. Are you being whimsical? The legend shook his head in disbelief. I used the gel to successfully make a fake finger that could deceive the fingerprint machine. Although the success rate was not 100%, it reached more than 70%. Zhou Qianxiu said, I only need to make 3 fake fingers, and I can guarantee that one of them will be successful. The legend shook his head. Impossible. It's impossible at all. This is just your theory. Gu Qia was also surprised. Uncle Zhou, how do you do this? Use forensic medicine to extract fingerprints, then take pictures with a high-resolution camera, transmit them to the computer for left and right, reverse and other processing, and then make a plate for the fake finger. Zhou Qianxiu was not just saying. He had done it before, so he was very familiar with it. The precision of the template directly affects the degree of fidelity of the fingerprint. Use the method similar to a printed circuit board, so that the sample can have subtle bumps to meet the requirements of the mold. Finally, the gel can be spread on the template. Lin Gu exclaimed, You're amazing, aren't you? That's too amazing. Of course, this method can't deal with those powerful fingerprint readers that can identify transparency, softness, charge carrying, and bubble level. Zhou Qianxiu said, So I added some craftsmanship on top of it. I can cover your fingers with this made gel perfectly. Even those fingerprint readers that can identify transparency, softness, hardness, charge carrying, and the level of the drum can be fooled. Lin Gu gave a thumbs up in admiration. Su Yun was also amazed. Perhaps only he, the first person in disguise, could do this. However, it was not a good thing that this thing could be copied. Sooner or later, this thing would be popularized in the world. If this technology could be mastered and fingerprints could be easily copied, everyone would have to wear gloves when they went out. Once the leaked fingerprint information was used by criminals, it would bring great harm to individuals and society. The uniqueness of fingerprints made them extremely important personal information, which could also be called personal privacy. If the fingerprint information was leaked or copied and used, the consequences would be unimaginable. What was even more terrible was that compared with digital password recognition technology, fingerprint recognition had the biggest disadvantage. That was, once the biometric characteristics of the person involved were stolen or imitated, it was difficult to change their own characteristics like changing the password. So, if this thing was stolen, it would not be as simple as finding the password. The digital password could be found and changed. How could the fingerprint be changed? Legend was a little confused. He regretted that he did not set an iris password. That was because someone told him that the iris password was not safe. It was said that there was technology that could produce a replica artificial iris in 10 minutes. The theory behind this was very simple. The data generated when scanning the iris could be used to create a unique iris code by studying the pattern, texture, size, and other information. Once the information was output, after 100 to 200 iterations, an artificial iris could be easily created. Therefore, Legend believed in complex and unique fingerprints, but he did not expect that the old man in front of him could easily copy his fingerprints. If he had known, he would have set all kinds of biometric passwords. In this way, the passwords of his various bank accounts and company accounts could be considered safe. In fact, this was the case now. Only by using multimode biometric recognition technology could the problems of all single-mode biometric recognition systems be solved. When Fat Head bought back what he needed, Zhou Qianxiu no longer delayed and started immediately. This was a pure manual work that consumed quite a lot of time. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.